be some kind of specific topic on some kind of specific topic. You can talk about whatever is on your mind. Get it out to as many people as are listening to the show tonight on the terrestrial... I hate that word. Okay, national radio. Riley is on here tonight with us. I actually did that kind of wrong. With you on the show tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley. Yes, I am on the show with you tonight.
It's just Riley and I tonight, and we've got Little Coconut sitting in a seat where third chair would normally be.
Is Coconut hosting with us?
He wants to. He's hosting in spirit. Oh my gosh, I accidentally said some of his favorite words and I got him riled up.
Uh-oh.
Okay. Anybody who has dogs, or maybe even cats, knows what that's like if you accidentally say words that your dog... Maybe cats. I haven't had a cat in a while. It's actually kind of crazy because most of my life I've had a cat. But anyways.
Yeah. Alana loves cats, so she's a cat girl for sure.
I love cats, and that's your girlfriend, right?
Yep. It's my girlfriend.
I love cats too, and I would love to have one here. It just doesn't seem like the place for it. First of all, I have always had indoor-outdoor cats with very few problems.
Yeah.
But here it doesn't seem to really be the place for it. I literally live on a corner on the road. It's more of like a neighborhood with like a house here, house, instead of like kind of in the wilderness. So it feels like that would just be cruel, and my cat would get hit by a car, and I'd be so, oh my God, I'd be devastated if a cat...
Oh yeah, I'm sure you would be, and I don't think it'd be a good idea to have a cat when there's cars everywhere and shiny objects everywhere they can get distracted by.
There are lots of cats around here that do it, but then if it was just, a horrible timing, I'd be so sad I wouldn't be able to deal with it.
Yeah.
So... In my house, there's no good place for a litter box. It's a big problem.
That is a big problem.
And Coconut is actually enough work. When my parents were here this week, I had their dog here with us. And it's not even like a really super high maintenance dog or anything. We didn't have to give her 2 baths. It's like, I'm so grateful Coconut is not stinky. It's like it's almost like that dog sweat or something. She just got stinky so fast. But anyways... It made me realize...
Maybe it's like a skin disorder, or maybe she's not healthy. Who knows?
It is actually. Her skin is itchy, so that's another reason we kept bathing her is giving her this conditioner with like non-itchy skin.
Yeah.
And it made me realize that maybe just having one dog is actually enough for now. Maybe when Ian gets out of prison, we have 2 people, and he's like so dedicated to dog training that it'd be so much easier. So... Anyways, that's a topic you could talk about if you really wanted to.
Pet training.
Cat versus dog people. Actually, people have serious, strong opinions about pet training. I shouldn't have said anything at PorkFest around this one pet-obsessed guy. I was like, yeah, my husband is, the best dog trainer he made. And then it was anytime my dog did anything slightly, what he thought was not okay, he was just like, oh, you're letting him do that? I was like, dude, come on, seriously. I'm not actually, mad. It was just, kind of silly.
Yeah, kind of funny, kind of silly.
One huge thing that I don't have an article about, but I just see the guy's face right here. Have you heard, Riley, about this video that went viral where the Jumbotron showed a couple hugging each other during a Coldplay concert?
I've heard this, yes. People are obsessed over this couple.
Know. I couldn't believe how much it was on Twitter at first. I was like, this isn't the biggest deal in the world to me. And then I started seeing it so much, and then I got involved in the conversation on Twitter. And then I was telling my sister about it because I was like, it's just so crazy that I care about this now. No, I mean, care is a strong word, to be honest, but to even be thinking about it enough to tell my sister when I picked her up to take her to work. So I told her all about it. She's like, whoa, that's crazy. And then she got to work and somebody was like, hey, so did you hear about the thing? Did you hear about the astronomer CEO getting caught cheating at the Coldplay concert? And she's like, yeah, my sister just told me. It literally is probably one of the more viral things this year.
Oh, I'm sure it is. It's just interesting that it's gone viral because, you and I were to do something like that, it wouldn't go viral. But, the CEO of a company does something, and a major company at that does something, and it's going to go viral. It's just, he's cheating on his wife, all this stuff going on, and it's like, well, this is a viral moment. But, cheating happens pretty much every day, but it's not viral.
He put out an apology, and I wouldn't say it was particularly weak apology or anything like that, but definitely it was awkward that he ended it with Coldplay lyrics.
Yeah.
It was kind of funny and weird.
That is pretty funny, and a little strange that he would do that because, here, the Coldplay concert ruined him, essentially.
I feel bad for the wife, like, getting cheated on and it being such a viral thing. But as many people pointed out, they live in Boston, so they have to be crazy, so I feel less bad.
Though, living in Boston may not be the craziest thing someone does, but, you're probably a leftist living in Boston, and, you might get your just dessert if you're living in Boston and you're getting cheated on or not getting cheated on or outed as a cheater. It's going to be interesting to see if this guy ever gets trusted again because he's a public cheater now.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Like somebody tweeted, of course everybody had like a opinion about it, and somebody tweeted, being a cheater like that shows that it's not just a show of your personality and like oh, nobody should trust you as a partner after that, but it's like I understand why he stepped down from the company and stuff like that. It makes sense that is something that is like always been a public, like, okay, like a standard. When I think back in time to the Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton thing, there's been times when I was like, why do people care so much about like that? It's like, why do they care if he has a wife or a family or what Hillary Clinton feels like, considering the fact that, like, maybe he can do his job and also just not have the same wife, blah, blah, blah. Like, that's a personal thing. But honestly, it's like, as I've gotten older, it makes actually a lot of sense. You don't want the person, like, leading the country to have... Because it's not just a value that only applies during relationships. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It says a lot about them, I guess.
It sounds like what you're saying to me is that, if someone's going to easily cheat on their partner, they could easily lie and go back on their word to the American people or the people in general.
Right. And everybody seems to have all the righties who were saying like, oh, Bill Clinton, they've definitely went back on their word a bit, considering the fact that like things that Trump has done in the past, even if it's never been proven that he raped someone, it proves that he cheated on Melania. Yeah,
it does. And, the Trump loyalists have forsaken their values and are now going after a cultist because he claims to be a religious man.
So,
and I get that people can change and repent and be born again or whatever you want to call it, but at the same time, past history does indicate future performance.
So that all just popped in my head because of the fact that the billionaire who cheated on his wife and got caught at the Coldplay kiss cam, like his face popped right up on this article. Do you have anything else you want to like get out about it? Say about it, Riley?
Not particularly. I'm indifferent to that whole story in that I don't really care about a billionaire getting caught cheating. It's the story.
I'd never heard of astronomer.
Yeah, I've never heard of astronomer either. It's just a story that doesn't really matter that much to me. It doesn't affect me, but it's interesting in that it's a story of, dating and a story of people doing stupid things at stupid times. Maybe people should just be more aware of what they're doing.
Yeah, it's like, how did they not think it'd be even possible knowing there's like a kiss cam? And then the fact that they ran away and tried to hide and it shows like her back and she's just ducking for like at least like a minute.
Yeah.
It almost would have worked out better for them and been less bad if they just acted casual, because obviously everybody in the world's going to want to be like, oh, let's Google his face now because of the fact that he ran away like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I don't think it would even be viral. Maybe they'd still be getting divorced, whatever, but because like, his close friends would have maybe figured it out, but not like the whole world.
I know. Now the whole world knows that you're a cheater, dude.
Just because
congratulations.
Ran away in fear or whatever. That's crazy. That's like one of the most crazy parts about it to me. But one thing we were talking about right before the beginning of the show, Riley and I, before the music started and the show came on, we were talking about, I personally don't care that much about the Epstein thing, but I think I'm coming at it from a pretty unique standpoint than the average person who says they don't care. Like, some people just don't, like, aren't interested in any way, blah, blah, blah. Some people just think it's actually a hoax. Like, a bunch of MAGA people seem to maybe really believe that now. A lot of people care a lot. But the thing is, I think the reason I am kind of ambivalent about it is kind of unique. I found the website, thevigilanttcitizen.com, in 2011. So that makes me like 15, I think. Turned 15 that year at least.
Okay.
Actually, I had to be 14. Anyways, I only know that because of what time of year it was. But anyways, that website details all these symbols in music videos, and not just music videos, like political, spectacles, like inaugurations, music awards, TVs, movies. And I've been convinced that the elite of this world, the people in charge, and also their, like, in my opinion, puppets of, like, pop stars and even presidents, are always referring to really disgusting things like pedophilia, killing people. They're always referring to it with their art, and not just art, but like their ceremonies. And if you go to vigilancecitizen.com, I've talked about it on the show before, like that website really shaped my whole outlook on the world. It's just like one thing one time is a one thing one time, but like the same type of symbols over and over again, every single movie you watch, I could tell you how it's about mind control and child rape and murdering, almost every single movie.
Interesting.
And it's like the same symbols over and over, same stories, really.
Yeah.
It makes it kind of boring to me. It's like I have to like turn my actual brain off to watch movies that like Ian wants me to watch with them 99% of the time. But anyways, what I'm saying about that is that I've known they're doing really disgusting, horrifying things for a really long time. It didn't take the Balenciaga, what's the word, like scandal. It didn't take Epstein killing himself, quote unquote, for me to realize that. And the other thing is, like, I know it goes way deeper than that, to where there's no way that's like every single elite that wanted to do something nefarious went through Jeffrey and Ghislaine. No, like the drug dealer is out of the picture. The addicts will get another drug dealer.
Oh yeah, they will.
There's no justice to be found in this dead horse, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I don't think there's any justice in this whole thing at all. I think that people are just drawn to the story because they want to out a pedophile, they want justice, and they want to feel like they're in control of their world. But it's so deep in the world where child rape and things like that happen, child pornography, child sacrifice. It's probably in your religious circles too. They're just hiding it more because they don't want to be outed. But it's everywhere, and it's infiltrated our society so much that Donald Trump and everybody would have to be arrested if we were to go after these people. Yep.
And even if Donald Trump personally isn't in it, which I'm not sure that I believe Elon, and I'm not saying like, oh, wait, I'm leaning towards him not being, like, I really am not leaning one way or another. It's like...
Oh, I am. I'm going to say that Donald Trump's on the Epstein list.
I'm just going to say it wouldn't really matter to me because I doubt it's some kind of complete list of every single person that's abused a child.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's not either, so...
They could go through other means.
Yeah.
From what I've seen, it looks like the Epstein things were more like at the youngest. I've heard people say and not be able to show me any evidence. They've said people as young as 11 were being trafficked through Epstein. I've not seen any evidence of that. But what it looks like is like as young as like 15.
Sure.
So I'm not saying that's nothing. But I'm saying that it's not the same thing as like a baby having horrible things. I
agree with you there. I mean, it's definitely not the same thing, but it's still, a heinous act.
What I'm saying is I think that it's like whatever he was doing isn't even the source of the bad things that go on in this world. So it's like even if they caught him doing that, they're catching somebody doing something other than, like, I mean, the worst things that go on in this world is what I mean.
Okay.
The worst things that go on in this world. Just, I don't know why it is this way, but everybody understands and agrees, or should, that the worst things that happen in this world are horrible things done to the youngest children among us.
Yes.
And first of all, it's like these people that were getting trafficked through Epstein. I've never heard allegations that they were being like tortured and hurt or anything like that. Definitely not killed. It was more like, oh my God, you took advantage of me because I slept with you to get a modeling. Like, I have not heard anyone say, oh, this girl was found like raped to death or something like that. Like, obviously that would be so much worse than anything I've heard leveled against the Epstein situation. Unless I'm wrong, like anybody who's listening is like, no, they do say that they have evidence of something way worse than what Bonnie is saying. Bonnie's wrong. Please call in. Like, I am okay with being corrected on.
Yeah, present your evidence, present your case, demonstrate your claims.
Yep.
Change your minds.
If there's like some Madeleine McCann stolen off islands and being trafficked to Jeffrey Epstein, like allegations that seem to have anything behind them, I will say that I was wrong and change my mind about the whole entire thing. But right now, I think that the Madeleine McCanns that get stolen off islands and trafficked into dark places, I don't think it's what Jeffrey Epstein was doing. And if it is, he hid it, and they have it so deeply hidden that the level that would even be allowed, quote unquote, out, like if the list got released, it wouldn't even be the truth of what he was, like the deepest thing he was doing.
Oh, yeah, I'm pretty sure it wouldn't be, because they don't want to tell the truth of the whole story because it would out so many people. And at the end of the day, you know, all these heinous crimes and Jeffrey Epstein just goes to show that everything is deeper than we think it is. Like, we think we can just have our favorite authoritarian chief arrest certain people and it's all going to go away. No, it's not going to go away. It's going to get worse. It's going to create more of a black market for these things because it's still in demand.
So during the Pizzagate times, Riley, did you get into any black holes or rabbit holes on the internet reading about that?
I didn't read about it on the internet. I heard about it on Free Talk Live back when it broke, so I don't remember getting to the rabbit holes. I just remember hearing about it on Free Talk Live and them delving deep into it. I think Ian was on the show at the time.
Yeah. Oh, really? I would love to listen to those episodes. Maybe I'll go try to find them or something. But anyways, like that would just be interesting to see what, like it'd be kind of like what am I trying to say? Like a pop culture moment. To hear a Free Talk Live Pizzagate episode. I remember that I was kind of a fan of Milo Yiannopoulos. No, I was a fan of Milo Yiannopoulos at the time. I'm not anymore because like he's just like come out as a complete misogynist and in such a like stupid way. It's like, I'm sorry that you had a dumb mom, so now you just feel like you can't respect women.
Yeah, I think Stefan Molyneux. I don't know.
Oh no, Milo Yiannopoulos. Or is that
I'm talking about a different person. Stefan Molyneux. I don't know if he's become a misogynist, but he's all about traditional families and things like that nowadays. Christianity. I think at one point maybe he was an atheist. I don't know.
I don't know much about him. I know the name, and I've heard so many people bring him up, and they always claim that he like went racist. But then there are other people that are like, no, that's not true. Honestly, I've never heard him say a word. So.
Yeah.
I think he wasn't like a big thing anymore by the time I was like interested in like YouTube politics side of the internet. But Milo Yiannopoulos, I was a fan of his at the time in like 2016, and he was doing these videos that were really great where he would go into college campuses in America, even though he's like English, and he would talk to them about he would debate them about topics that were extremely, everybody was extremely broken up about them at the time. Like there were people on one extreme end and one extreme end, not a whole lot of civil conversations going on.
Yeah.
And Milo Yiannopoulos would go to college campuses like the Ground Zero and debate people about these topics or just like lecture about them sometimes. But I'm pretty sure he always like opened the floor up to debate, and they were really interesting. Like sometimes I would watch those live, and he was teasing his next topic, because he would always do like, oh, this next topic is coming up is going to be feminism. The next one is going to be, whatever, like big hot button topic at the time.
Yeah.
And he was teasing the next one. It was going to be Pizzagate. I was like, whoa, this is going to be crazy. I can't wait to hear what he has to say about it. Because first of all, it's like I've been into that rabbit hole on the internet, like a weird niche interest of mine, in not in a like happy way. Like it disgusted me and disturbed me, but it was just so interesting. You know what I mean? That's how everybody feels about Pizzagate too. So don't spin it into some weird thing of mine. So it's already my like interest or whatever on the internet when it's kind of weird and niche, I guess. And then everybody was talking about it, and I wanted to hear what Milo Yiannopoulos was going to say about it. Well, the day of, he randomly canceled that one and was being super cryptic and acted like he couldn't say why he wasn't going to do it, but he was like, and the Pizzagate topic is going to go on, we just can't do it today. And it's like the next week he just comes out with a totally different topic. Like he just canceled it altogether, and it really seemed to me like, I seriously believe to this day, unless it was done for publicity, I guess to be a smart way to do that it was like they didn't want him to talk about it.
Maybe they didn't want him to talk about it. Maybe he was being threatened by the powers that should not be because he was going to talk about things they didn't want him to talk about, expose their lies and their secrets.
Yep, and he really fell off for a really long time, and then said he was like stopped being gay, and he's now going to be a straight man, and it seemed like a grift as well. Anyways, so I feel like that could be related to him like falling off. So among all of these topics that we're bringing up, like weird elites, I don't like that word. People use it enough that people know what it means. It's like the new word. People used to always say Illuminati, which is a horrible word for them because it means like the illuminated ones, and it's like...
Yeah. All these words are horrible words for me too. I'd rather call them the powers that should not be.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. So... No, people love to say elite right now. I don't like it because I don't believe they are more, higher class than me.
They're just empty suits and titles, so they're terrible people.
They believe they're the ones who believe they're enlightened, the ones who believe they're elite.
Yep.
So this from dailymail.co.uk.
A reputable news source.
Yep. Says sickening claims are leveled against famous billionaire during his time at mysterious elite men-only forest retreat. So do you know which retreat I'm referring to, Riley?
Bohemian Grove.
Yep, by that
I've nailed it.
Yeah, you did.
I remember when Alex Jones was all about the Bohemian Grove, and I was into Alex Jones a little bit back in the day, and I listened to, I can't say I watched, but I listened to this documentary where he went into Bohemian Grove and exposed the secrets, and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. I love it. Because I love people challenging authority. I love people challenging the narrative and people challenging these people. And Alex Jones at the time was doing that. Now he's a Trumpite. But anyway, I bring that up because Bohemian Grove is a fascinating look at, these people coming together to do a ritual that they don't want to talk about, the cremation of care.
Yep. It's really
an owl flying in or something like that.
We should definitely We should definitely always be talking about the Alex Jones documentary when we talk about Bohemian Grove. Like, if anybody listening has not seen it or heard it, definitely just Google, I forget the long name, do you remember?
I don't remember. I think it's like Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove or something like that.
Yeah, just Google Alex Jones Bohemian Grove. It's on YouTube, or no, I watched it on Odyssey. So you can watch it on there, and it's really interesting stuff, really creepy stuff. We can talk about that, the cremation of care, more about Bohemian Grove and what the current scandal is right now on Free Talk Live, 603-283-6160.
Never, ever send a follow-up email asking, "Did you get my email?" Email 101, if it didn't bounce back undeliverable, it got where you sent it. And avoid transmedia pestering, like calling to ask, "Did you get my email?" or emailing to say, "I left you a voicemail." If your emails and voicemails aren't being acknowledged, your problem isn't technology, it's technique. Is your message concise and understandable? Have you boiled it down to seem as relevant as possible to the recipient? In other words, is it the opposite of spam or junk mail? All of this really matters if you're a job seeker. But even if you're not, with money and attention so scarce now, effective communication skills have never been more important. For more tips, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury records about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It followed a report from the Wall Street Journal about a letter Trump wrote to Epstein in 2003. FSN's Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal centers around Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday back in 2003. A book was created made up of letters from Epstein's friends and associates, and included in that book is a letter reportedly written and signed by Donald Trump. The Journal describes it as bawdy. It includes a hand-drawn picture of a naked woman and the lines, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Donald Trump has told the Journal the letter is a fake thing, adding, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women." But he's now ordered the Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce grand jury testimony relating to Epstein's indictment in 2019 on child sex trafficking charges.
India successfully test-fired 2 domestically made ballistic missiles. The country has long relied on imported military hardware, mainly from Russia, which has been the subject of growing international attention since the invasion of Ukraine. FSN's Kshitij Nagar has more from New Delhi.
The short-range ballistic missiles named Agni-1 and Prithvi-2 were fired as part of a, quote, routine training exercise. India's Ministry of Defense says both the launches from a test facility were successful. The missiles are already part of the Indian military's arsenal and form what the government calls its, quote, minimum credible deterrence. Both missiles are said to be nuclear capable. India also tested an upgraded air defense system called the Akash, which has been purpose-built for operations in high-altitude areas. The test was conducted in the mountainous region of Ladakh. Military watchers say the tests should be viewed as a continuation of India's efforts to indigenize its military in the face of growing scrutiny, as the country has traditionally been an importer of primarily Russian military hardware. Kshitij Nagar, New Delhi.
The European Union lowered the price cap on Russian oil and extended sanctions on the country's shadow fleet. The 18th round of sanctions on Moscow will now be adopted after Slovakia dropped its opposition to the measure. Donald Trump denied that he plans to fire the head of the U.S. Central Bank, Jerome Powell. The president has reportedly drafted a letter of termination for the Federal Reserve chairman, but is now walking back claims he's planning to let him go. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Yep, we still do email. Drop your email address in the entry box at freetalklive.com, and you'll be kept in the loop with Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160. And I'd like to thank AEC, I'm really not sure if I'm saying that wrong, maybe AEC, for being an amplifier with us here at Free Talk Live. That means that AC went to amps.freetalklive.com and signed up to support the show. AMPS stands for Advertise, Market, Promote, and Support. Thanks to AC and everyone who supports us. Again, that's amps.freetalklive.com if you'd like to check out the perks and benefits of becoming an amplifier. Thanks so much to everyone who amplifies with us here at Free Talk Live. We really do appreciate it.
We do. It's always nice to have supporters out there.
And with you on Free Talk Live, you've got me, Bonnie.
And O'Reilly.
Again, the number to join us with any opinions or subject changes, really doesn't matter. Tell us we're wrong. 603-283-6160. And I did want to say the Alex Jones documentary of the Bohemian Grove that I recommended and Riley recommends is Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove. So Riley was right. You can search that on Odyssey and watch the whole thing. Maybe even YouTube also.
Maybe YouTube, who knows? Maybe the YouTube censors have taken it away.
Yeah, it came out in 2000.
Yes, that's 25 years ago, which is crazy because, I was 4 years from graduating high school at the time, so, I was like a freshman in high school, and it was just interesting because...
That sounds so fun.
I didn't even think about Alex Jones and then 9/11 being an inside job and things like that until after high school, until like college, so...
Oh, okay, so you first watched that documentary in college?
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's when I started doing my more thinking era is college, and then libertarianism came 10 years later, and so here I am, doing a show with Bonnie.
Nice. Well, Free Talk Live is an open phones show, and that's why we're going to go to the calls. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Why don't you guys respect the authority of our elected representatives? They were elected by the co-owners of the United States. There's no reason to call them crooks and thieves unless they abuse the system.
I'll go one further and call them liars, crooks, and thieves. Now what? What are you going to do about it?
There's no reason, Riley.
When Ron Paul was a representative, did you call him a liar?
Well, he was affiliated with liars, crooks, and thieves.
Did he lie? I don't.
Okay, so
I never
what
heard
about,
of him lying.
Javier
Plenty of them
I've
lie.
never heard of Ron Paul lying. So
Wait, so you heard every single representative lie and steal?
Most of them do.
Most of them do,
If
yeah.
you really ask me a specific person, I'm sure I can Google up a lie before you are done with your phone call.
Rand Paul.
Honestly, he's not Ron Paul, so I'm sure I can bring up a lie if you guys keep talking.
I'm sure we could.
But here's the thing: like you can't just use a blanket statement and call them liars and thieves.
Sure we can.
Yeah, sure we can.
by
First
the
of all,
co-
hold on. I have to say, because he always does this, he'll say something and then they'll go on for a long time about a different subject and not give us a chance to respond. The thing about Free Talk Live is it's a conversation. It's really not a place to just have a monologue. So I have to say, he claims you can't just say a blanket statement. I disagree. What I'm trying to say is people who say there's never a time to say a blanket statement are just wrong. There are sometimes times to say a blanket statement. And I have to say that if you associate yourself, like you even said about Ron Paul, and you join a group of people who the express job description is a thing, you can say a blanket statement about those people.
Yep.
And the people who never do a certain thing, but they've joined that group where they agreed to do that thing, but they never do it. They're just one example of somebody not doing it, but that doesn't mean you can't say that about them. Yes, you can. You can say that cops are bad people. Why? Because they all said, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Yeah, sure, if you told me to, I'd kill someone. They all said that. Not one person who became a cop didn't say that. Go on, Skeeter. Oh, my bad, Skeeter. Sorry, I thought I unmuted you, but I didn't.
You shouldn't use blanket statements when you can when the information is there available to you. You only use blanket statements and generalizations when the information is expensive, right? That's the only time you should use.
Okay, whatever. That's like such a specific opinion. Like you're gonna just say you should, and we're gonna say no, you shouldn't, and we're like whatever.
No, it's optimal. It's not my opinion.
Okay.
You
what are you going to do about it?
What's more optimal about me saying cops are
have something to say
bad
about
people? What's more, like, what is actually going to be more beneficial to you than me? What good thing's going to happen to you that I'm going to miss out on if I say, blanket statement, cops are bad people? Like, explain that right now. Just that one example.
So what makes cops bad people? Is it really them? Or is it the system and the incentives?
It is actually them. It is what they swore to do. They swore to kill someone if someone tells them to without question. So every single cop, one didn't. So please tell me why me saying that sentence has some kind of negative consequence for me and you not making a blanket statement get some kind of reward that I don't get.
So you guys probably hate them because, they'll see like one of their fellow officers.
You're just bringing up something to make you're just like making a straw man. You hate them. Oh my gosh, you sit around just seething about cops existing.
Correct me where I go wrong.
No, answer my question or else I'm going to hang up on you. What is the benefit you get? What is the negative consequence that happens to me if I make that blanket statement?
When you overgeneralize, when it's not warranted, you're more likely to make a wrong decision. You'll be punished by evolution proportionally.
But I'm explaining to you why it is warranted. I didn't say a blanket statement and say it's not for something it's not warranted. I didn't say everyone that lives in Skeeter's.
Look up the information.
I didn't say everyone that lives in Skeeter's neighborhood is a bad person. That would be not warranted. And yeah, maybe I could make a bad decision based on that. Like, oh, never go visit this town. It actually has a lot to offer. Blah blah blah. I see what you're saying. If it's not warranted, but I just explained to you exactly why it's warranted, and you can't explain to me why I can't say that. And that is exactly the same thing as us talking about politicians being like thieves or whatever else you said. Gang members, parasites.
When the information is available, when the information is available to clear up any misconceptions or if you're accurate, you should.
So basically what you're trying to say is that it's just a misconception that we think that about politicians, not that we shouldn't say blanket statements. So you're just wrong. You're just like bringing up something to try to make a different argument, which is not the way to make an argument. You're trying to say, actually, politicians are not thieves or liars, and then bringing up this
I'm not
other thing
saying
to
that.
try to
You're
make us argue
you're
against
strawmanning
it
me now.
instead. Instead of us arguing about whether or not politicians are liars and thieves, you want us to be arguing about blanket statements. So it's like,
I
choose
think
one
what
topic.
Skeeter said when he started this call is
Well, anyway-
we can't call them liars and thieves because they are elected by the co-owners of America.
Yep, that's definitely
Well,
something
yeah,
to say.
that's where I was trying to get to, but I got. Yeah, I mean, it's valid under libertarianism when something's co-owned. and
Except the country
vote
cannot be
distribution-
co-owned.
It's just like, what a boring conversation. We have this with him all the time. Like, are we just going to spend 30 minutes of our show every single week talking to him about whether or not, like, the people who vote legally co-own, like, everything in this place called America? It's so boring and stupid.
I agree. That's a boring conversation.
I don't even think most people agree with that. Like, I seriously don't think the average statist actually believes we all co-own every part of this land. That's so stupid.
It is kind of stupid.
If anybody listening can explain to me whether or not that is true in their minds, call 603-283-6160, and if you actually want to talk about something, just talk about it. Don't try making this little straw man for us to argue about instead. Like, just say what you actually think. In Skeeter's case, he wants to say, no, they actually own this place rightfully, and they're not thieves. But instead he says, you shouldn't make blanket statements. And it's just so dumb. We can't have a real conversation. And then he blames me. I was trying to say that. Well, then why were you saying something else, Skeeter? So dumb. He's either insanely dumb or great at wasting our time on this show.
Oh, he's great at both. Being dumb and wasting time. So.
I honestly think he's like hired by somebody to waste the freaking time on this show and make it super boring. Because if I was listening, like, I wouldn't want to hear Skeeter calls.
Yeah, most
Completely
people
boring.
don't. That's why he doesn't end up much in the digest, if at all.
Oh, good. dailymail.co.uk.
A reputable news source.
Yes, thank you, Riley. This article that we brought up in last segment, we were talking about, all the Pizzagate scandals, and then now it's Jeffrey Epstein is more of the like modern pizza. And before that, it was the Bohemian Grove. Alex Jones talking about how they're maybe doing child sacrifices there. How he showed in his documentary there was an effigy being burned and actual screaming sounded like coming from it. Things like that. Or wait, was that video his?
I think so.
I don't know if I actually accidentally just mixed up like a viral video somebody else made from sneaking in there with his documentary, but yeah, go ahead and watch Dark Secrets of Bohemian Grove. I think that's what it's called.
Dark Secrets Inside Bohemian Grove.
Thank you. I'm getting like one or two words wrong every time. If you'd like to learn about more of that, it says on the description of the IMDb for that documentary, the Bohemian Grove documentary, that it started in 1873, the Bohemian Grove. That's when they started having these meetings. It goes way far back.
That is way far back for sure.
There's a lot to learn about it if you don't know what we're talking about at all. But this article will, give a little quick explanation of it. It says, an employee at the Bohemian Grove Elite Men's Retreat alleged that billionaire businessman Bill Koch, and this is the Koch brothers, Koch.
Uh-huh.
I don't know the other one's name, but they're two brothers, and they have a lot of money, and they seem to be into right-wing politics and give a lot of money to different
I've heard
things.
about them.
Yep. So it says an employee at the Bohemian Grove Elite Men's Retreat alleged that billionaire businessman Bill Koch requested that the worker hand wash his underwear. I mean, I feel that's the least of the things that go on there. you know? Maybe I'm wrong. It says Bohemian Grove is an exclusive 2,700 acre campsite on Bohemian Avenue, Sonoma County, California. Holy crap, I'm like mixing each word up with the one in front for some reason. So it's Bohemian Avenue, Sonoma County, California, which hosts the men's only Bohemian Club. And that always bothered me. It's like, why is it men's only? I want to go kill. No, I'm just kidding. I want to go.
Oh, you're a feminist now. You want the women represented at the Bohemian Grove?
I just find it so weird.
Yeah.
Like, why are women not allowed to be Freemasons? So weird.
It is kind of strange, isn't it?
But then again, like, I totally, believe it should be okay. So if anybody's thinking I'm making that like some kind of, this is like a serious principle of mine. No, it should be totally okay for people to open clubs, including the Bohemian Club, or businesses or anything where they discriminate against women or men,
Yeah,
Totally
it's definitely okay,
fine with
but
that.
it is kind of weird.
I find it so weird. It just makes me more curious. That's really what it is. It's
Yeah.
like, whenever in the Alex Jones documentary where they sneak in, his girlfriend at the time is with him, and she's like, well, what am I gonna do? And he's like, well, you can't come in. Like, women aren't allowed. And I was like, I would hate that if I was her. I wouldn't have gone, halfway there to go wait at a hotel for him to come out of the Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, that'd be really rude of me to do that to my girlfriend Alana too.
Yeah.
Bring her.
I mean,
or I might just bring her and demand that she come in with me to shake things up a little bit.
Dressed as a man or something. Mulan style.
Maybe.
So it says, every July, there is a camp on the site for over a fortnight, attended by some of the Earth's most influential men from politics, culture, and business. Sean Granger, Anthony Gregg, and Walid Saad filed a lawsuit alleging wage theft while they worked at the club, and it wasn't settled until several wild allegations came out. So are these things lies, maybe, like to get the suit to be settled?
Huh. Maybe. I just find it interesting that, we're talking about Bohemian Grove, but yet 10 years ago or 15 years ago, if we were to talk about it, we'd be laughed off the stage and called
like they acted like it didn't happen at all. Yeah, that's a good point. It definitely, I when I was younger, I thought that it was a thing that was like, oh, we don't really know if it happens or not, but it actually was never that way, but there are definitely people who act like that still. There might still be people who act like that. Like that if you talk about it at all, like you're a kook.
Yeah.
So the suit was over violations of California labor laws and included not giving them breaks to take meals and refusing to pay the state's minimum wage. Granger, Gregg, and Saad said they were ordered to work 100-hour weeks but forced by supervisors to clock in just 40 hours. The November 2023 lawsuit obtained by SF Gate said. One of the claims was that Gregg was made fun of by members of the Bohemian Club for complying with a request from famous billionaire William Koch to hand wash his underwear. Koch, whose net worth is said to be $2 billion, said, according to Forbes, was not named as a defendant in the lawsuit, and a spokesman for him adamantly denied the charge while saying he isn't even a member. Wow.
Interesting.
Oh, wow, he's an older man. I don't know why I thought that they were young. I don't know why I thought that. I thought that they were like in their make 50s at the most, but no, this guy looks 70.
So I find it interesting that we're talking about the Koch brothers because I've heard that libertarians are funded by the Koch brothers, but I've never received any Koch money, so.
Yeah,
I'm still waiting for my Koch money.
Yeah, that was always a joke too, even in Young Americans for Liberty. I think that there may be some truth behind it, just based on things
there might be
say.
some truth to it too, but I don't think it's so widespread as people think.
Like that he gave money to Young Americans for Liberty, like the actual PAC itself. In fact, it has a different name now. I think it's Make Liberty Win. But I think that there's truth behind that. I'm not sure if that's even like can be known, but there were always like rumors from people that you'd think might even know something that was true. So people would make the joke like, hey, where's my Coke money? I've been walking for miles and knocking doors, whatever. And it also is an allegation with the Free State Project. I have no idea if the Koch brothers ever gave money to the Free State Project, but...
Well, it should be a matter of public records. Maybe we could look into it.
I think that some of that is actually not.
Oh, okay.
Because there is always these allegations about it, and then people are like, well, we don't know if it's true. So that's what leads me to believe there's a way to do without it being public.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not positive, but yeah, so... And I had a friend that worked for the Free State Project and said that she tried to find some kind of records, but they never made them public. And like, I think that there are ways to get around making those things public. I just don't know. Never had a PAC of my own or anything like that.
Yeah, 501c3.
And I've helped my friends with their Liberty Policy Alliance org. I'm not even sure if it's actually a PAC, to be honest, off the top of my head. I just don't remember right now. And wow, the stuff they have to jump through to like register and then keep their status and stuff like that. It's just like, wow, this sounds like such a pain. So
filling out government paperwork is definitely a pain.
It's awful, and people should just be able to actually freely operate businesses in this country.
I agree.
So I was showing a picture of the burning owl effigy, and it says Bohemian Grove is an exclusive 2,700-acre campsite. I wonder if like the rest of the year, like outside of July, if one can just camp there. I never really thought about it.
I haven't thought about it either, but that's a really good question. I wonder if we could look into that.
Says there is a camp on the site for over a fortnight attended by some of the Earth's most influential men. Okay, we already said that, but it was just, that was the caption under that picture. It says, there's no dates given in the alleged incident. There's no detail, period. And that was Brad Goldstein, the lawyer for the Koch brother. Goldstein claims that the allegations were just to force the club to settle the suit, and kind of sounds like it to me. And given the fact that Mr. Koch is not a member of the club and is always confused with his brother, I doubt the veracity of the claim. I wonder if a lot of them actually obscure whether or not they're members of the club. You know? I
imagine so, because the Bohemian Grove might have a reputation among some people, and so they want to obscure that they're part of it.
Yep, it sounds like it. I honestly believe that's probably the case. It says the case was dismissed on July 15th after a confidential settlement was agreed between the club and the employees on July 10th. Koch is the twin brother. Okay, so yeah, the twin brother of the late David Koch. Oh, I didn't even know he was dead.
I didn't either.
I'm not some kind of like follower of theirs, so.
You're not a Koch disciple?
Making it pretty obvious right now because I thought they were like way younger and both alive. He and his older brother Frederick Koch inherited their father's Koch Industries, but later sold their shares to David and their brother Charles. Okay, well, okay, now there's like 4 Koch brothers involved. Bohemian Grove is an exclusive 2000. Okay, it's like repeating that for like the 3rd time. We already read that. According to the club's website, the vast redwood forest retreat includes trails, river access, and outdoor theatrical dining venues. Oh, it's just theater. It's not a cremation of care ritual, Riley.
It's just theater. Don't worry about it. It's just theater. We're not actually doing a weird ritual at all.
Yep, so I think we said that we'd explain what the cremation of care was in this segment. So basically what the idea is. So this is what I truly believe before I get into what the cremation of care is. I believe that the people who call themselves elite and Illuminati, the thing that they know is largely about natural law. Yeah. So how this world works. And if you know that while somebody else doesn't, if you know how to make a fire while your neighbor doesn't, you can actually lord that over them. Like, I'll let you have fire to cook meals and stay warm and dry your clothes if you give me this and that. But this goes way deeper than the knowledge of how to make fire.
Yeah. And that's how, trades and things have been done, and how it could be easily done to manipulate people. Like, for example, if I had the technology to alter time, and I wanted to alter time for somebody else, and I told them, hey, I could alter this event for you, but you had to do this and this, they would willingly do X, Y, and Z to have me alter time because they want that power too.
Yeah, or like especially if you'll say you'll teach it to them.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say that I think they understand that there is consequences for bad actions. I truly believe in it. It's what the people of India called karma. It's basically real. I just don't believe that it works in a way that, like, even the Indians didn't believe that it works like, oh, you do something bad and instantly, you get punched in the face. It's not exactly how it works. In fact, somebody said to me, I was having this conversation today, which is so weird, with my friend while we were painting a fence, and he was like, no, there's plenty of people that do bad things and get away with it. And it's like, yeah, but I think that's just what you think because we can't see a consequence of an afterlife. Like, and I don't necessarily think it's hell. It could be a whole different range of things. You know what I mean? Anyways, say all that to say, I think that there are ways this universe works, and that's why they call themselves enlightened and why they're always holding up knowledge and thought, above material. And anyways, all that to say, since they know that doing bad things could have like natural consequences for them, that's why they get other people to do their dirty work, like cops. Yep. That's why they will warn you in movies before they do bad things. Like, they want to make it, it's almost like you have to agree. They didn't go, I mean, I'm not saying never, I think it might have happened here and there, but the actual protocol from top down was not to hold everyone down in the streets and give everyone the vaccine. People who got the vaccines agreed to it.
Yeah, they want to make sure that you agree to what they're going to do to you because it looks better for them that way, and it's better for you to make it feel like you're doing something good for the community by doing the thing they want you to do.
That's how they convince you to do it, yeah.
Yes, and take, for example, the Patriot Act. We were sold this as a way to fight terrorism. Don't you want to fight terrorism around the world? So we got to surveil foreign actors, and all of a sudden, guess what they're doing? They're surveying American citizens. And Edward Snowden talked about it, and he was deemed a traitor.
Yep, that's the whole Hegelian dialectic. It's like, you have these two options, but really you don't just have to accept that you only have those two options, but if you let them convince you of that, then yeah, you're going to start doing something you don't really want to be doing, but it's what they wanted you to do all along.
Right.
Well, I say all of that to say that the cremation of care is them basically sacrificing their own care about other people when they're doing bad things, and they feel that it refreshes them, and it's like kind of like a Catholic might feel when they go and confess to a priest everything bad that they've done.
Yeah.
It's like, well, now I'm basically like, I don't even know if forgiven is the right word, but now I have a blank slate for the next year of bad doings, and I don't have to care, because caring is part of the punishment when you do something bad. If you're a sociopath, or you can convince yourself to be like a sociopath, you get a little less of the punishment for doing bad things, because you do go around feeling no guilt. That's what's so sick about this.
It is sick. They want to live in a guiltless world.
603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Bring up whatever's on your mind. That's 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live.
Free Talk Live. Just because we may believe what we say doesn't mean you should trust everything that we say either. You may love Free Talk Live. You may think Free Talk Live is the best show you've ever heard, but that doesn't mean that you should trust us. You don't know us. You know us from what you hear us talk about on the radio, and sometimes that can make you think that you know a talk show host. It might make you feel like you're best friends with that talk show host. You're listening 18 hours a week. You know what they talk about on their show. You must know what they're really like in real life. But you don't really know that. And that's the reality of talk radio. I'm sorry, I know I'm breaking all the rules of talk radio here tonight, but that's the truth. These are just people. Rush is not a special man any more than anybody else, any more than you are a special man or woman. He's just a guy. In fact, he's a guy with a drug habit.
Free Talk Live, 7 nights a week from 7 to 10 Eastern at freetalklive.com.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the 4th edition of Healing Our World is a great gift for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount. There are lots of ways to listen to Free Talk Live. Our podcast has been around since podcasts began, and now the FTL feed is loaded with content besides our full show archives. Did you know that we make it easy for you to customize your podcast subscriptions? We have different feeds, one that includes only our full shows, one with just the Daily Digest, and our main feed that includes everything. You decide what you listen to. It's quick and easy to customize your feeds at feeds.freetalklive.com. That's feeds.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury records about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It followed a report from the Wall Street Journal about a letter Trump wrote to Epstein in 2003. FSN's Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal centers around Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday back in 2003. A book was created made up of letters from Epstein's friends and associates, and included in that book is a letter reportedly written and signed by Donald Trump. The Journal describes it as bawdy. It includes a hand-drawn picture of a naked woman and the lines, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Donald Trump has told the Journal the letter is a fake thing, adding, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women." but he's now ordered the Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce grand jury testimony relating to Epstein's indictment in 2019 on child sex trafficking charges. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
India successfully test-fired 2 domestically made ballistic missiles. The country has long relied on imported military hardware, mainly from Russia, which has been the subject of growing international attention since the invasion of Ukraine. FSN's Kshitij Nagar has more from New Delhi.
The short-range ballistic missiles named Agni-1 and Prithvi-2 were fired as part of a, quote, routine training exercise. India's Ministry of Defense says both the launches from a test facility were successful. The missiles are already part of the Indian military's arsenal and form what the government calls its, quote, minimum credible deterrence. Both missiles are said to be nuclear capable. India also tested an upgraded air defense system called the Akash, which has been purpose-built for operations in high-altitude areas. The test was conducted in the mountainous region of Ladakh. Military watchers say the tests should be viewed as a continuation of India's efforts to indigenize its military in the face of growing scrutiny, as the country has traditionally been an importer of primarily Russian military hardware. Kshitij Nagar, New Delhi.
The European Union lowered the price cap on Russian oil and extended sanctions on the country's shadow fleet. The 18th round of sanctions on Moscow will now be adopted after Slovakia dropped its opposition to the measure. Donald Trump denied that he plans to fire the head of the U.S. Central Bank, Jerome Powell. The president has reportedly drafted a letter of termination for the Federal Reserve chairman, but is now walking back claims he's planning to let him go. FSN's Kate Fisher has more from Washington.
US President Donald Trump has said it's highly unlikely he will fire the head of the US Central Bank. Stock markets and the dollar slipped on reports that he'd broached the idea with Republicans on Tuesday, but they quickly bounced back after he downplayed the discussions. It would be a major break with precedent for a president to dismiss the chair of the Federal Reserve. Mr. Trump's called on Mr. Powell to lower US interest rates in a series of highly critical outbursts. On Wednesday, the president called him a knucklehead and claimed he was doing a lousy job. Many economists have warned that political interference in the leadership of the Fed could risk undermining price stability and investor confidence.
Global views of China and its leader Xi Jinping have improved, while those of the U.S. and President Trump have deteriorated, according to a new survey of 24 countries by the Pew Research Center. The survey shows that international views of the two superpowers and their leaders are closer than they've been since 2020, as FSN's Laura Westbrook reports.
The results of the survey are a departure from when the US and its former president Joe Biden enjoyed more favorable international views than China and its president Xi Jinping. The survey by Pew found the US was viewed more favorably than China in 8 countries. China was viewed more favorably in 7, and the two were viewed about equally in the remainder. Countries like Canada, France, and Germany showed a decrease in favorable opinions of the US, while an increase in positive views of China. Some analysts believe that the US looks like a less reliable partner, and people might have limited confidence in Donald Trump to lead the global economy, while China's human rights policies and its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, which had impacted negative views of the country in the past, might not weigh as much this time.
Those were some of the top stories from the past week. Ira Spitzer.
My fellow sheep, election season is upon us. Are you one of the 12% of Americans who still approves of our government? Then we need your help to force the other 88% into compliance. Our democracy depends on it. We're an organization called Citizens Against Too Much Unfettered Freedom, or CATMUF. CATMUF is a bipartisan flock of sheep whose goal is expanding government until nothing else remains. Because the government is here to help you. How can you help CATMUF help you? By only voting for candidates dedicated to expanding government. It's easy. You don't need to study the issues. No matter what a politician says when running for office, they're all dedicated to expanding government. And make sure you tell all your friends and family to vote for more government. Here at CATMUF, we don't care if you vote Democrat or Republican, as long as you vote for candidates committed to growing our federal family. CATMUF, because folks just aren't smart enough to handle real freedom.
Got Telegram? You can follow our channel there and discuss show prep with other listeners at telegram.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control. That means that you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 to bring up any subject you want to talk about. The subjects change constantly here on Free Talk Live, and that's the whole point. And Free Talk Live is brought to you by LibertyMinded.com. Official Free Talk Live gear like t-shirts and hoodies are available at LibertyMinded.com. Plus, you'll find a unique collection of cool and funny Liberty-oriented clothing at LibertyMinded.com. That's LibertyMinded.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley, and the website again is libertyminded.com. Just kidding.
Yeah, Chris Reitman is always like, how many times do I have to say it? But it's a short ad.
It is a short ad, but also I think in Radio Land it's important to repeat yourself enough times that the audience can hear what you're saying, because typically when you're listening to the radio, you can't just hit the rewind button and try and listen to it again. You have to get it in the audience's mind, the listener's mind, pretty quickly.
I love listening to things like I was a listener to Free Talk Live before I even met Ian. I've always watched YouTube videos, like long form. I love it.
Yeah.
I love to put on any kind of like talking podcast video thing in the background while I do anything. Like when I was doing my makeup before the show, I was just listening to some girl talk about beauty tips. It doesn't even really matter what it's about half the time, as long as they're like good enough at talking. And so many times somebody says something and I'm like, oh, I want to Google that book they just referenced or something, but like for whatever reason your hands are busy and it just gets lost, you know?
Yeah, I've had that happen before a time or two too.
So anyways, yep, if you want liberty-oriented t-shirts and hoodies, go to libertyminded.com.
Exactly.
And we already have a listener calling in for this segment, so I'm going to go back to the phones and your calls and thoughts. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Well, I think Donald Trump actually should fire Jerome Powell. I think it would be great. I think it would be the best thing he ever did, ever.
Didn't he appoint Jerome Powell in the first place?
Yeah, I thought that was a pretty stupid decision.
Yeah.
And by the way, to be honest, I actually think that, surprisingly, I think actually Jerome Powell is actually slightly smarter than most of the Fed chairs that we've had, at least over the past 10 years. But I think you should just go ahead and fire him and replace him with nobody. And actually, while he's at it, he could go ahead and just disband the Federal Reserve altogether. I think that'd be the best thing to do.
I tend to agree. The Federal Reserve is a terrible bank and should be disbanded.
Yeah, they're garbage.
Why is he talking about, like, why is that in the news right now, that he's saying he's going to fire him? Why?
Because he's not a yes man. And I'm sure he will replace him with a yes man, which sucks. But I still think, but I think we should normalize firing the Federal Reserve chair anyway. So I think either way, it's kind of a win-win situation. I mean, if Donald Trump starts doing it, then and he does it successfully, then all presidents can do it. We can just fire the Fed chair every week for the rest of eternity, for all I care, or at least until the dollar collapses, I guess. Bonnie,
yes,
I got Addison in
the CD,
the mail. It's the CD. I have had it on my stereo for like 2 days straight.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Far and away. Well, maybe not far and away, but one of the kinkiest teen pop albums of all time.
Whoa.
And it's just amazing.
It shocks me how good it is. Like, there's not one song on there that I'm like, oh, I don't want to hear this and skip. Maybe, like the thing is, like, the number one on it that everybody loves the most is Diet Pepsi, but I've heard it so many times now. Like, sometimes I skip it because, like, I just don't feel like hearing in that moment, but it's still an A+ song.
Yeah, I agree. I love Diet Pepsi. I love how she talks about losing her innocence in the back seat.
All right.
That's a
I'm
great
sure that's
line,
your favorite part of the
line.
favorite line.
Yep, it makes a lot of sense that would be Turd's favorite line.
Yep.
Sometimes I forget that me and Turd don't actually listen to the same music for the same reasons. I think it's just like beautiful, amazing music and so good. And then he just outs himself as being a bit of a weirdo on the internet. But he likes to do that. I think it's like part of his identity. So
yeah.
And a lot of people debate, is Turd's identity real or is he a troll, like putting it on? No, it is actually who he is. Right, Turd?
Well, you were kind of cutting in and out there. I don't know what happens when you put me on.
Oh, okay.
On hold. But what was the last question you asked?
I said that your personality, you're not putting some personality on for the radio, right? This is who you really are.
No, this is who I really am. Why would anybody ever think that I'm putting on some sort of personality?
I don't know. Some people think that he's a troll. Sorry, I kind of cut him off, but yeah, he got to talk about what he wanted to talk about, the Addison Rae album. Do you have anything else you want to talk to Turd about, Riley?
No, I think we're good.
Thanks for the call, Turd Ferguson.
I'm glad he's enjoying his music. Maybe he might grow up one day. Make better choices.
I like that I suggested an album and he likes it that much. I just knew he would love it when I heard it.
I'm just giving Turd a hard time. I'm sure he's trying to be a good guy out there, but it's just funny that his favorite line was losing someone's innocence in the back seat. So I don't know.
Basically is trying to get me in trouble recently with like calling and saying the weirdest possible things and getting that's what I think.
Okay.
Like getting Gigi and like my mom being like, why do you let that weirdo on the air? So
yeah,
just trying to push it as far as possible. But I do believe it literally is how he feels and thinks and everything. I don't have much to say about the Jerome Powell conversation because it's like, yeah, exactly what Turd said. Even if he fires him, it's not like he'll just disband the Federal Reserve. He'll just replace him with someone that probably will do more of what Trump wants, which isn't disband the Federal Reserve. So
well, Trump wants someone who's going to lower the interest rates and give everybody easy money, which we all know what happens when you have easy money.
Yeah.
Inflation. So he wants more inflation and wants the money to become worthless, essentially. Wants to pretend it's going to make everybody wealthy.
Yeah, so people can have like a bit of a boom during his presidency and then, not care what happens after because it doesn't affect him as much. That's messed up. That's what's real messed up about it.
It is. And, money makes the world go round. And unfortunately, governments love to be in charge of the money supply.
It's kind of like what we were talking about with the quote-unquote elites or the powers that shouldn't be having information that the average people don't have, so they lord it over them. It's like, that's how I feel they have treated inflation. And even with the word inflation being more used by the average person in the last few years, like they kind of let the word out so that way people will learn what it means, but they gave a little spin on what it actually means. Like they are pretending that the word inflation just means prices go up, and it's not what it means.
No.
It means an inflation of the money supply.
Yeah,
Prices
it's an
go up
increase
as
in the money supply.
as an effect.
Yep, that's a cause and effect. So, the increase in money supply is inflation, cause and effect. Prices go up because more dollars are chasing fewer goods or the same amount of goods in the market.
Yep, and it seems like they, for some reason, have to let things out once in a while just to change their definitions. It's like something they would be denying is a thing. Then they have to be like, oh yeah, that's a thing. Of course, we've always known that's a thing, and this is what it means, and it's actually the wrong definition. I know that happens more often than just inflation, but that's a perfect example.
That's what cults do. They change definitions on you all the time.
Wow. I bet. That makes a lot of sense.
Yep. So that's why government is a cult.
Yep. So yeah, I don't really care about the Jerome Powell thing. Trump's not in it for the right reasons. Like when he was running and he was saying he's going to get rid of the income tax and get rid of tax on tips and everything. Like he somewhat got rid of tax on tips, but it's more like, I don't remember what the qualifiers were, but there's enough where it's like, not that exciting.
Yeah, I don't know. This presidency is just not that exciting to me. I knew Trump was a statist going into this, and he's demonstrating that he's an absolute statist, an absolute betrayer of his promises to his people and supporters, and, screeching about Epstein being a bad dude and everyone should just forget about him. How dare you just bring it up time and time again? Yeah,
and now it's a hoax. He calls it the Jeffrey Epstein hoax.
Yep.
So, this from APnews.com, Riley brought this in, is another thing about Trump.
A reputable news source.
Yeah, but this is another thing from Trump while we're talking Trump. Says the Trump administration hands over Medicaid recipients' personal data, including addresses, to ICE.
I think the goal of this, the article may not mention it, but I think the goal of this whole thing is to make his supporters feel like something's being done to clear out the welfare rolls of quote-unquote illegals.
But it feels like something will be done in this instance, like that he's giving addresses away to ICE.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying he's going to do exactly what he told his followers he would do, like get rid of the exact amount of people he said he would deport or whatever, which, I mean, is on par with the amount that Biden was deporting, if people don't know. But
oh yeah, Biden was deporting people as well as, Trump and these other presidents, but no one wants to mention that Biden was deporting people because it's not part of their narrative.
Yep, but one thing that my brain instantly went to when I heard this news is, what's the whole Palantir thing all about if he can just do stuff like this and he's going to do it anyway? Like, why does he even need Palantir if he's just going to give ICE, which is immigration...
maybe it's to digitize everything instead of just digitizing some parts of the government. Maybe it's to digitize everything and create a surveillance state on everybody.
Well, yeah, but like that's what Palantir was supposed to be doing too, but now he's just like skipping that and just, I'll just give it to you.
Yeah.
So ICE stands for Immigration and Customs Enforcement. The C always messes me up. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, because we're not like, Canada, where you constantly hear that word because you're always like ordering things from other countries and it goes through customs.
Yeah.
But it is a thing. So Trump just gave it to ICE, and those people are going to use that information to go. I mean, presumably they're going to use that information to go and deport more people. And let's get into how he did it. Immigration and Customs Enforcement officials will be given access to the personal data of the nation's 79 million Medicaid enrollees.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Including home addresses and ethnicities to track down immigrants who may not be living legally in the United States. But one thing that's confusing about this is they're on Medicare even though they're not legal at all. Like, it makes me feel like he's going to be more likely going after people that they suspect of being illegal and they're not really. Like, they've done a lot.
That's what happens when you put government in charge of everything. They just muck it up, and they're going to harm other people who actually may need Medicaid for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, imagine if you were just an actual like bigot of a person. You just hate people who don't look like and act like you, and you
hate people that may or may not be disabled.
Well, yeah, imagine if but especially in this exact case, like somebody that's a different race of you, what job would you love more than being an ICE agent?
Exactly. You could harass them anytime you want.
And the thing is, does it really matter to them? Does anything affect them if they accidentally go after someone who's like Mexican, but turns out they were illegal?
They're above reproach because they get qualified immunity.
Yep. I don't know for sure. Let's see. ICE, do they have qualified immunity? Qualified immunity.
That's maybe I'm wrong about them having qualified immunity. I don't know, but we'll find out on the radio, on the show right now.
It says yes, they generally have qualified immunity, and it protects them from liability and civil lawsuits.
Right.
Yeah, if somebody didn't know what that is at all, protects them from liability and civil lawsuits unless their conduct violates clearly established statutory or constitutional rights, which never matters. Those types of like protections, they never actually matter when it counts. Like, a judge will just be like, oh, it's not clearly established. And it can say in the Constitution clear as day, and the judge can just say, doesn't seem like it in my opinion, because he's going to side with the cop who literally is on the same side as him, is literally playing for the same team as him. So why wouldn't he side with them? It's not just that exact situation. All kinds of different laws that are that vague. Really, that's not that vague. That's what's like so mind-bending to so many people. They're like, well, of course I'm protected under the Constitution. It says right there, freedom of speech. But they have made it much more vague with all the other laws they've put down after it, and all the things
Supreme
that they've decided.
Court rulings.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, it's just, people think they have freedom of speech, but in reality, the government curtails their speech so much that they forget about it.
I wonder how many people think when they give their information to the government, like in any way, shape, or form, they're just like, oh, of course it's safe. It's with the government.
I'm sure the vast majority of people do. I'm sure the vast majority of people assume that government's going to be responsible for that data, but we all know that government doesn't do the responsible thing and secure your data.
Yeah, literally, vast majority probably do believe that. Not only did Trump just hand it over to another agency that these people who signed up for Medicaid and Medicare didn't, or it's Medicaid, I guess, didn't expressly agree to give the information over to ICE, but they are constantly getting leaked. Like, their info gets leaked and hacked constantly because they're so behind the times. It's not like they're keeping up on stuff like that. And they're just really easily able to get their information leaked. It happens all the time with government.
I think the issue I have with this is Medicaid is like for retirees and older people. Medicare, I think, is for mainly disabled people. So I'm wondering how's this. So for me, I disagree with this whole approach because it's government overreach, of course, but it's also a way to pretend like they're doing something good and they're handing over someone else's data so that other government agencies can pretend to do something and clear out voter rolls or do whatever they wanted to do. But in reality, they're going to go harass somebody with the last name Gomez and get them off their system.
Yeah, it would be so much easier for them to actually just cut down on the amount of welfare that gets handed out.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we're no longer handing this out for this reason. Okay, now you have to actually work because if you want money, because we're taking this away from people who can't prove that they're like actually disabled.
Yeah.
Or from now on, just having like a little bit of depression doesn't count as freaking disabled. Stuff like that. You could cut down things in so many different ways. And I think that you're right. He probably is telling his followers, well, this is how we're going to cut or get people off of welfare when they don't need to be on it. But this isn't the best way to do that.
No, it's just a terrible way to use government. And, Trump's just a big government guy.
In power, he's always just like, well, when you're president, you get to blah, 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 blah.
Yep. And that's true for everybody that's so-called president. I'm just waiting for the time when people just realize this whole system's illegitimate and stop cooperating with it and do something entirely different. But I don't think it's going to happen in my lifetime.
Yeah. There are people like Skeeter out there who believe so much in it that they've made up their own little beliefs about it that even the statists don't believe.
Yeah.
Yeah, we all co-own everything on this plot of land called America.
That's kind of a socialist idea.
It's insane and so stupid because it's like never has it ever worked out like that in any country.
No, if you claim to co-own the White House, maybe you should go in there yourself and say, I'm a co-owner here. I'm going to do what I want. See how that works out for you.
We had that whole conversation with him. I think you were on and Rochi Rich was on.
Yeah, probably.
And he was just saying, yeah, but even in a regular agreement with co-ownership, there would be rules and you wouldn't just be able to do whatever you wanted. Everybody would have to agree. But it wouldn't matter if everybody in the whole country except, the cops and the president decided, no, you can't paint the White House pink. It wouldn't matter. There's no co-ownership here. There's no vote on what we do with our, like, whether or not we go to war. No.
There are people who supposedly represent us, but I think we can better represent ourselves.
Yep. Also, I just disagree with the idea that I'm somehow tethered to somebody in Arizona.
Yeah, me too.
Like that we are all part of the same quote-unquote country and we all should go by the same exact rules and have the same exact morals to follow.
Yeah, someone 3,000 miles away doesn't get to say over my life any more than I do.
Theirs, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
So this says that he gave access to ICE to the personal data of the nation's 79 million Medicaid enrollees, including home addresses and ethnicities, to track down immigrants who may not be living legally in the United States. The information will give ICE officials the ability to find the location of aliens across the country. That's in quotes, so I guess that's what Trump said about it.
Yeah. That's funny they're calling them aliens, but, that's what they've usually called them. And, the more and more we other the other, the more, I guess, the less empathetic we're going to be toward other people when we just, keep othering each other.
Yep, that's true. That's all part of the whole thing is, you need to hate other people.
They locked us in our houses during COVID so we could hate each other and be isolated, and now they're doing this under the Trump administration.
And so it says the agreement signed Monday between the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services and the Department of Homeland Security. Oh, they can make an agreement we don't have to be a party to? It's almost like they don't believe that we're all co-owners in this.
Exactly.
The agreement
is wrong there.
Has not been announced publicly. Whoa, they don't even have to inform you.
No, they don't.
The extraordinary disclosure of millions of such personal health data to deportation officials is the latest escalation in the Trump administration's immigration crackdown, which has repeatedly tested legal boundaries in its effort to arrest 3,000 people daily. It is not arresting 3,000 people daily. I hope people know that. Like this AP article worded it like that. It's effort to arrest 3,000 people daily. Like, you're honestly just giving Trump more credit for doing what he said he was going to do than you have to when you say it like that.
Yeah.
Then it shows a picture here of ICE talking to some people. It says, people shout at federal immigration agents during a raid in the agriculture area of Camarillo, California on July 10th. Lawmakers and some CMS officials, I'm not really sure what that is, CMS. It doesn't even define it.
I don't know what CMS is either.
Yeah, it didn't define it at all. Lawmakers and some CMS officials have challenged the legality of deportation officials' access to some states' Medicaid enrollee data. It's a move first reported by AP last month that Health and Human Services officials said was aimed at rooting out people enrolled in the program improperly. But the latest data sharing agreement makes clear what ICE officials intend to do with the health data. And then it's showing a picture with people with a sign that says, ICE off my property, get a warrant. That doesn't seem, it doesn't seem like he's at his property. They're in this like big field. Anyways, ICE will use the CMS data to allow ICE to receive identity and location information on aliens identified by ICE. The agreement says. So that's what the Trump's agreement between the two bureaucratic goon squads says. Such an action could ripple widely. Such discourses, even if not acted upon, could cause widespread alarm among people seeking emergency medical help for themselves or their children. Other efforts to crack down on illegal immigration have made schools, churches, courthouses, and other everyday places feel perilous to immigrants and even U.S. citizens who fear getting caught up in a raid. And that is a pretty sad thing, especially because of the fact that they have been screwing up time and time again, going after people that are not the people that, even if it's true that Trump, what he says, that he got a mandate from the people when he got elected to get rid of people who just aren't supposed to be here, especially like violent criminals. They have time and time again been arresting people who are here legally.
That's what government does. They mess up all the time.
They've just been screwing up left and right, and it doesn't even feel like it's an accident. 603-283-6160. More Free Talk Live coming up. Bring up whatever is on your mind.
Hi, I'm Derek J. To me, an activist's calling is to actively work to advance a cause. The cause for which I work is personal freedom. I believe my life is best when I engage in voluntary interactions and self-government. I reject the idea that anyone else has a higher claim to my life or my body than I do. I see people who call themselves the government as a threat to my personal freedom. I realize you may feel differently, but my relationship with the people who call themselves the government is completely involuntary. If Starbucks used some of its money to drop bombs, I wouldn't shop there. So why would I support the American empire? The empire does not require my consent.
Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree. Watch it for free and order the Director's Cut DVD at victimlesscrimespree.com. That's victimlesscrimespree.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury records about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It followed a report from the Wall Street Journal about a letter Trump wrote to Epstein in 2003. FSN's Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal centers around Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday back in 2003. A book was created made up of letters from Epstein's friends and associates, and included in that book is a letter reportedly written and signed by Donald Trump. The Journal describes it as bawdy. It includes a hand-drawn picture of a naked woman and the lines, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Donald Trump has told the Journal the letter is a fake thing, adding, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women." But he's now ordered the Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce grand jury testimony relating to Epstein's indictment in 2019 on child sex trafficking charges.
India successfully test-fired 2 domestically made ballistic missiles. The country has long relied on imported military hardware, mainly from Russia, which has been the subject of growing international attention since the invasion of Ukraine. FSN's Kshitij Nagar has more from New Delhi.
The short-range ballistic missiles named Agni-1 and Prithvi-2 were fired as part of a, quote, routine training exercise. India's Ministry of Defense says both the launches from a test facility were successful. The missiles are already part of the Indian military's arsenal and form what the government calls its, quote, minimum credible deterrence. Both missiles are said to be nuclear capable. India also tested an upgraded air defense system called the Akash, which has been purpose-built for operations in high-altitude areas. The test was conducted in the mountainous region of Ladakh. Military watchers say the tests should be viewed as a continuation of India's efforts to indigenize its military in the face of growing scrutiny, as the country has traditionally been an importer of primarily Russian military hardware. Kshitij Nagar, New Delhi.
The European Union lowered the price cap on Russian oil and extended sanctions on the country's shadow fleet. The 18th round of sanctions on Moscow will now be adopted after Slovakia dropped its opposition to the measure. Donald Trump denied that he plans to fire the head of the U.S. Central Bank, Jerome Powell. The president has reportedly drafted a letter of termination for the Federal Reserve chairman, but is now walking back claims he's planning to let him go. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Our Matrix server is about as free as internet chat can be. Join the existing rooms or create your own at chat.freetalklive.com.
It's Free Talk Live. Welcome back to Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the phone number for you to call. That's 603-283-6160. Bring up whatever's on your mind. And are you tired of the oppressive rules and moderation of the big tech social media sites? Our Mastodon server at social.freetalklive.com can set you free. Mastodon is free, open source, decentralized, and federated. Multiple apps are available for iOS, Android, Windows, Mac, and Linux. Social.freetalklive.com. And with you on Free Talk Live tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley.
And in the last segment, we were talking about this thing. I feel like we didn't really talk enough about one of the biggest issues, because it's filled with issues. This article from APnews.com says Trump administration hands over Medicaid recipients' personal data, including addresses, to ICE. The biggest problem there, I really think, is that people kind of seem to assume the government just has all your info a lot of the time. Like, oh, they just know everything about you.
Yeah.
You don't have to give them your info. And if you've signed up with one section of them, you should assume that they are going to do whatever they want with it because they're a gang of thieves and liars.
I would agree with you there, but it seems like when people give government their data, they think it's going to be secure and safe and that nothing's going to happen to them. But, governments are filled with people, and if people want money, they're going to find ways to use that data. They could sell it to somebody, maybe sell it to a different government or give it to a different government agency. Or they could abuse that data and, harass you and make your life miserable.
Yep, you absolutely should assume that, because that would be the smart thing to assume, that they're going to give away your data and it's not going to be safe.
But I was just don't disclose your income to the government.
But I definitely agree that most people don't think that way. They think when they sign up for Medicaid and they write that they're Hispanic, they're not expecting Trump to give that information over to ICE to have them go harass you at your house.
They're not expecting a knock on the door. Here, we are the ICE. We are here to arrest you for being illegal.
Yep, or, as I hadn't heard of this story at all, except for a listener, Tom called in about it. Some people who just lived in the house where the people that lived and rented that house before them were apparently suspected of being illegal. And then that family that's lived in America their whole lives in Oklahoma got kicked out onto the streets at night in their, sleeping clothes and threatened with arrest. Maybe they did get arrested. I don't even know.
I don't remember either, but it's really scary when you allow government so much control over somebody's life. It's really scary that people trust their favorite flavor of authority to do the right thing. Like, for example, they trust their favorite flavor of authority to arrest and deport the people they deem illegal. Well, the government's going to make a lot of mistakes.
Yep.
And they're doing so on the public stage. But, this is what they voted for, so they're cheering it on.
It's so annoying that we live in a society where other people feel that they actually have the right to give away access to your house to other freaks just to make them feel better.
I know. It's really sad that people don't respect each other's rights, liberty, and property.
Yep, and then we have to live in this whole entire country together where they all have decided this instead of just being allowed to break away from this country that takes money away from New Hampshire, and we could just do better off without
Do you think
them.
it's time for secession?
Yep, it's always been.
I agree.
It's been since way before the Civil War.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think might creates right, or might makes right.
And people bring up the Civil War as a classic example of why secession was a bad thing. But remember, they're fighting over different things back then. Plus, the government was a terrible entity then. It's even worse now. So
it got worse and worse after they got worse by orders of magnitude.
Why not break away from this evil behemoth?
Yep, it's done nothing but grow.
It's like a cancer.
It's way worse now than it even was to the Southerners in the 1960s, or 50s when they first started talking about that. Maybe they started talking about it before then, but really threatening to leave. Anyways.
Wasn't that the
18.
1850s?
Did I say 19?
Yeah, you did.
I meant 18, and I was thinking 18 in my mind, and it just occurred to me. My bad.
Well, I'm glad we corrected you.
Well, my bad. It's Free Talk Live. That means you can call in with whatever is on your mind. So I'm going to go to the phones. It looks like we have a caller on the line. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, howdy. Yeah, remember last week there was a huge issue about the floods down in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
And it turns out that the owner of that camp that got flooded, and I think, 36 Christian girls that got flooded and they never found their bodies and all this sort of thing. Well, it turns out the owner of that company had lobbied FEMA to declare that his land was not really a floodplain and that he could really build lower and lower.
Whoa.
And so, sure enough, in 2019 and 2020, big government under Donald Trump said that a floodplain is not a floodplain.
Wow.
And so, sure enough, the flood came along and washed out his cabins and killed those girls and a bunch of other people. Now, what's ugly about this is that a flood is usually considered an act of God. And that if you can't control an act of God, then the insurance companies don't have to pay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if a guy who is a fake Christian, like the owner of that camp, comes along and defies God and gets government to lie about whether or not a floodplain is really a floodplain, then is that blasphemy?
I don't know if it's blasphemy, but I would definitely say you can't claim, there was no way to stop this when there absolutely was a way to stop it. You could have just not made a children's camp in a floodplain, but the government, I guess the government decided that they would test God. That maybe that's somewhat of blasphemy.
Right. Well, what even makes it worse is in insurance, you can declare, the insurance companies do this all the time. They say, well, this flood was an act of God, and we don't have to pay off for those dead kids or the house or the land or the lost buildings or anything else. So they then blame it on God, and by blaming it on God, they don't have to be responsible for their negligence, or their willful negligence is, going out of your way to be stupid and putting people at risk. So yeah, this I've been really intrigued by how these fake Christians are going to deal with sending their kids to a summer camp that's being run by a bunch of con artists.
Yeah, it's a really interesting way you put it, and it's interesting. I definitely seems to make him seem like a fake Christian, if nothing else.
Most of them are fake. Well, I wouldn't say most of them, but a lot of them are fake nowadays. They have their fake healings, their fake sermons. So I don't know. A lot of people are
TikTok
deceived.
Seem fake.
Yep.
Anything else for us, caller?
Well, yeah, just keep your eyes on it, because I understand, like, for example, Washington, D.C. is being flooded right now.
Whoa.
And Congress just did their big, beautiful bill, and they didn't plan for floods, and they don't believe in climate change, so they didn't plan ahead for floods coming from climate change, and they're going out of their way to ignore the possibility that America's property, the roads and bridges and all the other infrastructure that are getting washed away and weakened by huge floods, they're going to claim that it's an act of God, and that our taxes shouldn't be used to reinforce our bridges and roads and whatnot. Sewer systems alone are being ripped apart. That's the hidden part.
Oh, that's pretty sick to think about. That. Thanks for the call. It's pretty sick to think about that. These
Thanks,
people,
David.
They take the money in the name of, well, what would we do without taxation? We need roads and infrastructure, and then they're just letting it go to crap while they take money to pay ICE agents or whatever.
Yeah, well, governments are notoriously bad at repairing sewer lines and roads. I mean, if Domino's has to repair the potholes in the roads, we know that government's screwing everyone over all the time.
Yep. Another thing I wanted to say about the caller's call in general was just, it's been hitting me a lot recently how disturbing summer camps really kind of are. Like, if I had kids, I wouldn't send them to a summer camp. I've heard multiple stories recently, because I like to listen to all those paranormal stories of people that were forced to go to summer camps and how bad the experience was for them. Did you ever have to go to one?
I went to Boy Scout camp a few times during my childhood. I've been to youth camp for church and things like that. So yeah, I've been.
I've never had to go to one. My mom didn't have a job, like she didn't work when I was a kid, so we were always like at least able to be with our mom. And it just seems like that with these like rich people that send their kids to summer camps, a lot of the time it doesn't seem like it's for the kids' actual betterment. Like, it seems like it's a way to get rid of them for a few weeks, like for your own betterment or for your own happiness or whatever. It seems just so messed up. Like, one huge thing is that like the camp people, the coaches, there's another word for it. Clearly I've never been to summer camp.
Camp directors or something like that?
No.
Counselors?
Like, yeah, I guess counselors, like the young people that are like pretty young, and they go and they do a lot of the grunt work, like camp counselor, I guess is probably the word. They said that they're always like having to wake up in the middle of the night to like console little kids who are crying because they're like miss their parents. They're homesick, and that's really sad.
That is really sad. And it does happen when people leave home for the first time.
Yeah, not that kids should never be allowed to like grow up. It's just, I mean, it's another thing like schools. It's just a manufactured like pretend growing up anyway. It's like you're never going to be in a situation where you have to live in a cabin with a bunch of other boys your age, all boys, or other girls your age, all girls, and you still have to like follow authority and just like make crafts you don't want to make. It's not really growing up. You could easily be like free schooling with your parents and like, you know what I mean? And like be learning to grow up.
Oh, yeah.
It just seems like something that it's like the same thing with boarding school. I always think like people who think my kid's bad, I'm going to send him to boarding school, just bad parents. So, and not to pile on these people whose kids died in the flood, but I just don't like that idea. It seems like it's not only are the parents just trying to get rid of their kids for a weekend or whatever, or usually like a couple weeks, but it also seems like they're handing them over to people that don't care that much, like the owner of this camp petitioning the government to, hey, don't call this a flood zone for me.
Allegedly.
Thanks, buddy.
I haven't confirmed that yet, but if it's true, it's really negligible for the man to do that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, though.
I wouldn't be surprised either.
Even
People do
Donald
strange
Trump,
things.
he was saying in the Joe Rogan episode that he did right before he got elected this time.
Yeah.
He was saying that whenever he would build buildings, he's built lots of buildings. Especially like New York City.
Mm-hmm.
The environmental lawyers, they'll come and they'll be like, yep, you can't build here because there's this puddle here and there could be bacteria in it. And then you just have to like pay them off. And they're like, okay, never mind. It just, all that environmental lawyer and environment and government where they intertwine is so dirty. I could easily see someone being like, yeah, this is my land, but I can't make money off of it if it's a flood zone. So, hey, help me out here. They don't actually care about the environment or safety that much.
No, I don't think politicians generally care about these sorts of things. You hand some of the right money, they're going to be like, oh, well, we can excuse any behavior we want to excuse for you because you're paying us off. Yep. And yet the rest of us plebes have to deal with, carbon taxes and climate change rhetoric.
Yep, cars just getting bigger and uglier, more dangerous to drive while in the name of quote unquote safety. And more expensive, more tracking. So, anyways, that was an interesting call the caller brought up. Thanks, David, for the call.
Yep, for sure.
But back to this article from apnews.com about the situation where Trump is allowing there to be an agreement between ICE and Medicaid, Medicare, where Medicaid, Medicare is giving over their information to ICE. This honestly opens up so many innocent people to getting their door knocked down.
I agree. And, the more and more this happens, the less and less I want to trust government. But, I don't trust governments to begin with because they're just liars and thieves. But less and less I want to trust them with anything. So if they're going to come knocking on my friend's door, I can't take it. Like, why should I have to put up with this nonsense?
Yep. I'm glad that.
Welcome to the Stasi, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the German technocracy.
I'm glad
now the
that
American technocracy.
I hope more people can see it this way. That's why I feel like this kind of article is like important to share. It's not that it's surprising to us. It's not like we're like, wow, can't believe Trump is doing this. It's not even that it's about Trump and we wouldn't be saying if it was Biden. No, we absolutely would. It's about the nature of government.
It is. And it just shows what kind of people government is, what kind of organization government is, what kind of entity it is. It's a destructive cancer. It's evil. It's authoritarian and ought to be uprooted.
Oh, yeah. I didn't catch it. I was just like, yeah, uprooted. This sentence we did already read, I didn't really think much about it the first time, but there's definitely a lot of truth to this. It says, such disclosures of giving away that information, even if not acted upon, could cause widespread alarm among people seeking emergency medical help for themselves or their children. Other efforts to crack down on illegal immigration have made schools, churches, courthouses, and other everyday places feel perilous to immigrants and even U.S. citizens who fear getting caught up in a raid. And it is true that there are people that are good people that we absolutely want here. They're just living in fear because of this whole nonsense, and it really sucks.
It does. Maybe we should, instead of closing the border, open the border and then end the welfare subsidies and see what happens.
I think that'd be a much better, much better solution, because I think people should have the freedom to choose who they want to associate with. And the government shouldn't come in and say like, oh, you don't want this person
You do want Mr. Gomez to associate with you. He doesn't have the proper paperwork.
Exactly. Maybe you do want to hire Mr. Gomez and,
Maybe I want to hire Jesus, but a group of strangers is standing in my way from hiring Jesus to, harvest my wheat.
Exactly, yeah. All kinds of different people are getting targeted by this, and not all of them are quote-unquote violent like Trump tried to claim. And I'm not one of those people who is, we should never ever say that somebody can't live here, and even if he used to be in MS-13, I don't care because I hate Trump that much. So, if you think that's the type of person you're listening to, it's really not.
Yeah.
I honestly think that if we got rid of welfare, even if we opened the borders, like Riley said, we would have a better outcome than what we have right now. What we have right now is, I think most people that come here genuinely just living pretty normal lives. I've known lots of legal immigrants, especially from Mexico in my life, living normal good lives productive lives, like people who aren't just sitting around and accepting welfare. And most of the people I knew that were illegal, I met them through jobs and we were all working,
Yeah.
I've never met an illegal immigrant who's just sitting around ever in my life. I'm not saying that they don't exist. I'm saying the ones I've met, they were all working and wanting to be here for good reasons. And that definitely happens. But I do think that a lot of people, especially people who never could have gotten here themselves, there was this one person that got deported 3 times while I knew him, and he was back in a few weeks. He can get here himself. He has the power and drive to get here himself. The people who live in the middle of the civil war in Somalia and they don't even actually like it here and they couldn't possibly get here themselves because they're making $1 a month or whatever in the middle of a civil war, and they just get shipped here and they just act like they're a victim and they go directly on welfare. And I'm not saying that's every Somalian. I can't help but make an example that has to do with a country.
Yeah.
I'm just saying people who absolutely don't even match the culture and would do something like just get on welfare and sit around. It definitely happens. I think that if we open the door and shut Medicaid, I must say welfare down, they wouldn't even be attracted to getting on the boat where the secretive org is picking them up and bringing them to Minnesota or whatever.
All I'm suggesting is, and I think Bonnie's suggesting the same thing, is we end government welfare. If you want to go take care of, Jesus's family, you should be free to do so without the government standing in your way. That's what we're talking about. Charity is far better than government welfare because charity comes from you, the individual, not stolen money from Bonnie.
Yep. And it actually usually is a bit better at helping people than government welfare, and you have more accountability. You really think that if we wanted to know where our exact tax dollars were going to, exactly what it paid for, that we'd be able to figure it out? No, we wouldn't. It wouldn't even be possible. It wouldn't be possible, and even if it was an actual possibility of the universe, well, they wouldn't let us do it. But
no,
charity
they want to make
be.
sure they hide all their items and don't tell you about them.
But actual there's literally black budget. The fact that there's black budget anything, we should be allowed to just say, no thanks, I'm not going to pay taxes.
Right.
Because we should not have to fund things where we're not even allowed to know what it is.
But Bonnie, we need to be so afraid of China or Russia or the countries in the Middle East that we got to fund certain black budget items to protect ourselves so we can manufacture ways to defeat these people.
That's ridiculous.
I think so too.
I know you do. Yep, that's what it always comes down to. They're like, but national security. Honestly, all I need is my community to be freely allowed to protect ourselves.
Yes.
I don't need the United States government to claim to want to protect me in the name of doing whatever the heck they want and taking money from me.
I think that's the problem with a lot of people is they're lazy. They want...
Yes.
They maybe not everyone's lazy, but a lot of people are. They're just wanting to outsource their protection to somebody else who has a better protection racket, like the government.
And beyond just laziness, which I definitely agree with, I think a lot of people are cowards. Cowards, they wouldn't, trust themselves to take care of themselves.
Yeah.
Even if the government gave them all the freedom to. It's some people are cowardice in that they don't want to defend themselves and their family. And that's why they'll go live in a place where it's like illegal to even own a gun, and where everybody just says, no, just call the police when that's happening. But then there are other types of cowards that are too cowardice to even like put their necks out at all and like go try to make money. And then you can go deep enough to where you're such a coward, you get mad at anybody else who like speaks up at the government for doing certain things. You know, it's like Stockholm syndrome.
Yeah, they just want to live in a world where the government takes care of them, where the government protects them and does what it's supposed to do by protecting your rights. But we all know that government never protects rights; they just always infringe.
Yep, like if you're a slave and they're a slave too, and you're even suggesting that they take care of themselves and figure their own lives out themselves, then they'll go tell the government on you. Because, like you said, welcome to, what is it, the Stasi?
The Stasi. The Gestapo, well, the Gestapo are the place, but the Stasi is the government entity that this is definitely looking like.
Yep. When I attended the large protest outside of the governor's assembly or whatever it was, where the Noble Nine in New Hampshire got arrested at a governor's meeting where he was having a second meeting to try to coerce his assembly to vote for more federal money to come into New Hampshire. And they just started arresting random people out of the crowd who weren't talking or doing anything just because they had heard that they intended to protest and they didn't even say a word. That to me was the most obvious it's ever been in my whole life, that the police and probably the military too will just act out absolutely any order given to them. And we absolutely live in a society that's like what you're saying. You know, those are the Gestapo. And me and Matt, they used to be on the show, and I think Nikki was there and other people that we know were there saying, you're the Gestapo, you're on the wrong side of history, just so you know. Those people don't care.
No, they don't care. They're doing their job, they're following orders, they're protecting you from enemies in the world. Allegedly.
More Free Talk Live coming up, 603-283-6160. Bring up whatever is on your mind. More Free Talk Live coming up. Don't go anywhere.
This hour of Free Talk Live is brought to you by Dash Digital Cash. Dash is the cryptocurrency designed to be used for spending. Tired of the ever-inflating US dollar? You can live your life on Dash instead with some handy websites. BitRefill.com has been accepting Dash for years and has a ton of big-name retailers and brands including grocers, gas stations, phone refills, Amazon, and even prepaid MasterCards. Plus, many of their gift cards are available at a discount. But what about paying your bills? Spritz.finance can do that, and they can send dollars to your bank account in case you still need those for some reason. Dash is one of the oldest cryptocurrencies and is widely available on exchanges, including the decentralized Maya protocol, and in multi-crypto wallets. It's easy to get and use Dash. Start by learning more at Dash.org. Thanks to the Dash DAO for sending us 32 Dash per month to promote Dash on the air. Visit Dash.org to learn about Dash. Dash.org.
Protection. Eleutheromania. The insatiable desire for freedom.
Filibuster. Police state.
It's the new 3-song heavy metal EP from Captain Kickass. Available now on your favorite music app or get it directly from CaptainKickass.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com to receive our usually weekly news updates by email. Plus, we have a Twitter account at twitter.freetalklive.com, and you can follow us on the decentralized Mastodon platform at toot.freetalklive.com. So please follow us at toot.freetalklive.com and sign up for our emails at news.freetalklive.com.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury records about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It followed a report from the Wall Street Journal about a letter Trump wrote to Epstein in 2003. FSN's Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal centers around Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday back in 2003. A book was created made up of letters from Epstein's friends and associates, and included in that book is a letter reportedly written and signed by Donald Trump. The Journal describes it as bawdy. It includes a hand-drawn picture of a naked woman and the lines, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Donald Trump has told the Journal the letter is a fake thing, adding, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women." But he's now ordered the Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce grand jury testimony relating to Epstein's indictment in 2019 on child sex trafficking charges. I'm Nick Harper in Washington.
India successfully test-fired 2 domestically made ballistic missiles. The country has long relied on imported military hardware, mainly from Russia, which has been the subject of growing international attention since the invasion of Ukraine. FSN's Kshitij Nagar has more from New Delhi.
The short-range ballistic missiles named Agni-1 and Prithvi-2 were fired as part of a, quote, routine training exercise. India's Ministry of Defense says both the launches from a test facility were successful. The missiles are already part of the Indian military's arsenal and form what the government calls its, quote, minimum credible deterrence. Both missiles are said to be nuclear capable. India also tested an upgraded air defense system called the Akash, which has been purpose-built for operations in high-altitude areas. The test was conducted in the mountainous region of Ladakh. Military watchers say the tests should be viewed as a continuation of India's efforts to indigenize its military in the face of growing scrutiny, as the country has traditionally been an importer of primarily Russian military hardware. Kshitij Nagar, New Delhi.
The European Union lowered the price cap on Russian oil and extended sanctions on the country's shadow fleet. The 18th round of sanctions on Moscow will now be adopted after Slovakia dropped its opposition to the measure. Donald Trump denied that he plans to fire the head of the U.S. Central Bank, Jerome Powell. The president has reportedly drafted a letter of termination for the Federal Reserve chairman, but is now walking back claims he's planning to let him go. FSN's Kate Fisher has more from Washington.
US President Donald Trump has said it's highly unlikely he will fire the head of the US central bank. Stock markets and the dollar slipped on reports that he'd broached the idea with Republicans on Tuesday, but they quickly bounced back after he downplayed the discussions. It would be a major break with precedent for a president to dismiss the chair of the Federal Reserve. Mr. Trump's called on Mr. Powell to lower US interest rates in a series of highly critical outbursts. On Wednesday, the president called him a knucklehead and claimed he was doing a lousy job. Many economists have warned that political interference in the leadership of the Fed could risk undermining price stability and investor confidence.
Global views of China and its leader Xi Jinping have improved, while those of the U.S. and President Trump have deteriorated, according to a new survey of 24 countries by the Pew Research Center. The survey shows that international views of the two superpowers and their leaders are closer than they've been since 2020, as FSN's Laura Westbrook reports.
The results of the survey are a departure from when the US and its former president Joe Biden enjoyed more favorable international views than China and its president Xi Jinping. The survey by Pew found the US was viewed more favorably than China in 8 countries. China was viewed more favorably in 7, and the two were viewed about equally in the remainder. Countries like Canada, France, and Germany showed a decrease in favorable opinions of the US, while an increase in positive views of China. Some analysts believe that the US looks like a less reliable partner, and people might have limited confidence in Donald Trump to lead the global economy, while China's human rights policies and its handling of the COVID-19 pandemic, which had impacted negative views of the country in the past, might not weigh as much this time.
Those were some of the top stories from the past week. Ira Spitzer.
Our very own Tracy met farmer Ray Kimball, who says that his horse, Franklin, has the ability to speak full sentences.
When did you first realize he could talk?
Well, I'd hear him saying things when I was sleeping, and then I'd go out to the barn and we'd have some real conversations.
Can we talk to Franklin?
He can't wait to meet you. Say hi, Franklin. What's that? That's a good one.
What did he say?
He said, "Who's the pretty lady?"
Aw. Franklin, do you like living on the farm?
Yes. Oh, yes. Oh, yeah.
Did he say something?
Tracy, you live here now.
I spent a cozy night at Ray's farmhouse in a room he called the altar. I learned that the farmer has a whole lot more on his mind than just a talking horse.
You are my beloved.
This is the Onion News Network.
You can stick it to the man and big tech. Join our FTL social mastodon at social.freetalklive.com. Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. Welcome back to Free Talk Live. 603-283-6160 is the phone number to call. If you'd like to get in on the conversation with us, that's 603-283-6160, and you can bring up whatever's on your mind. On this radio with you tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley.
And we've had a lot to say about how the government runs tonight. We've had a lot to say about how...
Or doesn't run.
Yeah, but unfortunately they do. They just don't do what they tell you they'll
Oh,
do.
no, of course not. When they say they're going to tell you they're going to deport illegals, they're going to deport you instead.
So, all of the different bureaucratic bunches, all of the different organizations within the organization, they have their own little, basically, gangs, and their own little criminal enterprises that go along with it.
Exactly.
That's what they actually are. They're just a conglomeration of different gangs under the whole heading United States. The United States of America is the name of all of the gangs together. And what really underpins that? This article here from the Wall Street Journal.
A reputable news source.
The New York Mayor, Eric Adams, led criminal enterprise at NYPD. Former top cop alleges.
Really?
Like, we already knew that's what they're doing because it's not a secret. Like, what the group called NYPD, it does. It's just a gang. It's, by definition, that they call the other gangs, the regular gangs, New York Police Department is no different. Is that what is New York Police Department? Am I getting that wrong?
Yep, you're getting it right. I wouldn't disagree with you on that statement. It's essentially a gang.
So
they just happen to be the safety racket.
And one of the former top cops came out and said it. So it says Thomas Donlon files federal lawsuit seeking U.S. takeover of NYPD. I don't know if that'd be much better. Like, oh yeah, we need feds. Well, whatever. New York is far gone.
Yeah.
Especially New York City. I mean, so
New York City.
Mayor Eric Adams left. What's that from?
I don't know.
Oh.
I just know it could said a lot on this show.
Oh, Mayor Eric Adams left, and Police Commissioner Thomas Donlon at a new NYPD security briefing last October. Oh, wow, he's recent. I would have thought it was like somebody from years ago or something that's coming out saying this. A former New York City police commissioner has filed a federal lawsuit alleging Mayor Eric Adams and other top officials ran the police department as a criminal enterprise, engaging in racketeering, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice. How is it any different than the mob?
It's not.
When the mob comes and they say, oh, look at this nice shiny window you have. It would be a shame if someone broke it. You need protection. How is it any different? It's not different. They force you to pay for their quote-unquote protection.
Yes. It's a mafia that's put on you by force. It's not a friendly, or maybe not so friendly, gang down the street that has their symbols and flags and uniforms. You know, it's not that kind of gang. It's a gang that actually has a racket, a protection racket.
Friendly gang down the street. Well, we do have a caller on the line, so let's go to the phones. And what's funny about that statement to me is, like, people think of the cops that way. It's just your friendly neighborhood cop. Oh, I just am so happy they're there. So many people act like that.
Well, they haven't had their house raided by the police yet, so.
Yep. So we have a caller on the line. Let's see what they want to talk about. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
I've been looking over the news. It seems there's multiple stories about how immigration and customs enforcement agents are miserable these days, and they're in despair, even though Trump is praising them. And, you know, maybe there's something to that. But I would have some advice on, first of all, I would advocate that they turn in their badges and go get a job and work for a living.
Yeah, if they want respect from the population, you're right.
Do an honorable job rather than harassing people.
Then if they're not going to do that, then if they're like, I don't know specifically about that agency for sure, but a lot of law enforcement agencies, what they do when first they show up on time and then they report for what's known as roll call, where they hear the latest bulletins and all the stuff they got to know before they go out to the field. So if they don't want to turn in their badge and go get a job and work for a living, what they should do next time it's time for them to start their shift is what they always do, and that is they arrive on time and bring their loaded gun into a room full of fellow ICE agents that are not wearing helmets, just like they always do.
I don't know.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
You think that's a way to continue living a happy life and boost morale? Because that's one of the articles I saw is, morale is really low with ICE agents.
Yeah, and morality, too, what they're doing. By the way, some people need to look into registering their own U.S. birth of some other country, abroad. Birth abroad, like I registered my son and my daughter's births as years ago. They're Dominican citizens born in the United States to a Dominican Republic citizen mother. And so, and then they can get their cedula, their national ID cards, and their passports. You want to do that and have that already there just in case somebody somehow gets deported. Oh, no, you were adopted by somebody who wasn't a United States citizen. After all, we denaturalized that person, and therefore you aren't the child of, you weren't adopted by a United States citizen. That person fraudulently made their way through the system by failing to list all the organizations they were a member of. They failed to mention that when they signed up for the magazine, they became a member of the National Geographic Society. So now all of a sudden, but if they're eligible for another passport, they need to already have that, so somebody can go to South Sudan or Eswatini or wherever they get deported to and say, here's your passport to the Dominican Republic. I'm going to buy you a ticket. You've got to already have that passport ready. It's sad that people have to even think about this stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty sad. And I can't believe they've been doing stuff like taking away the citizenship of someone who believed they're a citizen their whole lives, and that something as flimsy as, oh, well, we decided that your adoptive parent actually was never a citizen, stuff like that. Yeah, that's really going to clean up the streets.
Oh yeah, and sending criminals with badges out into the streets is going to help cut down on criminal activity. I don't think so, but that's pretty much. This is what happens when people vote against the libertarians.
I know. People who get more and more government.
What they need is ranked choice voting. That'll be a major victory right there, because then people won't feel that if they vote for Oliver, then they're really voting for Trump, or that they're voting for Biden by voting for Oliver instead of voting against the worser of these two. Like it's only a choice between those two. No. You vote for Oliver first, and then whichever one is worse to you, Trump or Biden, then you vote for them as the second choice. And then if nobody gets a majority of the number ones, then it's the number one and the number two who's got a majority of them now. And so it won't mean that you're voting for Trump by voting for Oliver. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm interested in I am interested in ranked choice voting. I think it would maybe make better outcomes. I doubt they'll ever do it, but also I'm just never going to vote again, so I'm a little checked out.
Why not?
Also, Angela McArdle said that they chose Chase Oliver to be the candidate because he was such a weak candidate that they knew they could help Trump win. So I'm pretty sure that they're not going to continue to put really good candidates out that would actually be like, oh wow, I want that person to take over. Like, I don't really think Chase Oliver was great. He sucked. He did stuff like, whether he said he would force it by law or not, he said you should stay home and not go celebrate Thanksgiving because you'll be a super spreader. So honestly, don't like that guy. I don't think he'd be so great as president.
Okay, well, I'm going to let you go.
Thank you, Tom,
Thanks,
for the
Tom.
call. Always interesting, and yeah, we brought up cops and we get a Tom call.
Well, I just think it's interesting that ICE has low morale and low morality
Yeah.
while they're doing
good
their horrible jobs.
Another good one he said is, I don't see how he's going to cut down on criminality by putting criminals in the streets with badges. Really good one. And that's exactly what's going on in this article here that we have from Wall Street Journal about the cops in New York, the new NYPD. The top cop alleges that they were running it as a criminal enterprise engaging in racketeering, wire fraud, and obstruction of justice. Thomas Donlon, who served as interim commissioner of the NYPD for 2 months from September to November 2024, said Adams empowered a group of loyalists who operated without oversight, doled out promotions to politically connected candidates, sidelined misconduct investigations, and engaged in other corrupt acts. The corruption allegations will renew scrutiny of Adams' administration and his management of the police department as he seeks a second term in office in November, this time as an independent. Adams didn't run in the Democratic primary in June, saying last year's federal bribery case against him made it impossible to mount a proper campaign. 4 former NYPD officials also filed separate lawsuits last week, alleging that top brass at the police department was selling promotions for up to $15,000.
Oh, wow. So they're selling promotions now, huh?
That doesn't surprise me at all. That's a little crazy. Like, if the promotion is worth $15,000, like, dang, you're going to make a lot more money. These people are just getting paid so much money to not make you any safer and show up after crimes are committed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Donlon's complaint, filed Wednesday in federal court in Manhattan, asks for a federal takeover of the NYPD. That's pretty crazy, too. It's like, well, we just need the feds to come take over this American city. That's insane.
I agree, and it just shows the level of tyranny people want to live under sometimes.
Yep. I mean, I definitely don't want to live there, but millions of people literally.
Yeah, 8 million of them.
8 million? I always forget what the number is. It's crazy.
It is crazy. It's a lot of people.
So it says that he asks for a federal takeover of NYPD and the appointment of a special monitor to root out corruption. I mean, they already have, what's it called, like AI, internal investigation, IA, internal investigations. They just investigate themselves and find out they did nothing wrong every time.
The fox guarding the hen house, essentially.
Yep. Says Mayor Adams tore apart the NYPD's command structure and replaced it with a corrupt inner circle of loyalists and lawbreakers. Oh, I'm sure there were no lawbreakers in his favorite group that was there before.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure.
Said John Scola, an attorney for Donlon. Kayla Mamek Altus, a spokeswoman for Adams, said Donlon's claims are absurd and will be disproved in court. This suit is nothing more than an attempt to seek compensation at the taxpayer's expense after Mr. Donlon was rightfully removed from the role of interim police commissioner, she said. The NYPD didn't respond for requests for comment. It says, yeah, I mean, like, there's nothing they can really say that will convince me that things like that aren't going on. People who are control freaks and power hungry, where would they go for a job other than the government, specifically the cops, if they want to be like physical bullies especially?
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from, but I can also see people who actually genuinely care about public safety actually working for the police, but they're not going to be part of the They may not get promotions. They may not get good paying jobs as being part of the police.
Well, I mean, if you start to see what's going on, you actually are a good person. If you don't quit, that's literally absurd, you know? Yeah. So even if somebody joined with good intentions to begin with, that, like, they can't really say that they're all good intentioned and nothing to see here if they're in there for years and years and years. Like even this guy, you know, making the lawsuit. So it's like, oh, I was there for 4 months and now I want to tell you guys about this. Adams, a former captain with the NYPD, was criminally charged for bribery, fraud, and soliciting a contribution by a foreign nation in 2024 during the Biden administration. The mayor. So Adams denied the allegations and the charges were dropped in April under the Trump administration. And Trump loves cops, so for all we know, he was like, yeah, I'm just going to drop this one. You know, get my prosecutors to drop this one.
Entirely possible.
Don Lawn was a commissioner in name only, the complaint said, and Adams' loyalists ran the department. This group allegedly blocked Don Lawn's merit-based promotions and instead traded promotions for favors. Top officials also carried out a retaliatory scheme against Don Lawn to punish him for speaking out, the lawsuit alleged. Oh, so he did try, at least when he was there, leading to his dismissal as interim commissioner and as senior advisor. Yeah, they don't like people who try to tell people the real stuff that's going on behind scenes. And
no, they want to make sure they put a good face on what the police are doing, but they don't want to tell you about all the corruption.
Oh, another point I was going to make when Tom called is basically just that. The fact that they have bad morale at the ICE agency.
Yeah.
It's at least a win in that the people who are doing these protests are making them feel bad enough that they're not, you know, like happy to do our jobs today. And that's how I felt about the 2020 protests. One great thing that came out of it was cops being like, I don't feel appreciated as a cop.
Well, you shouldn't be appreciated as a cop.
So, yep, it seems like he tried to bring this up before he got dismissed, and now he's bringing that lawsuit to try to get compensated. One thing about it that annoyed me about that article is like how many times he brings up, oh, and they were taking the positions that everybody wanted. It's like that's the more important than all of the crimes they were doing under the name of the police. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They're arguing over merit-based positions rather than saying, oh, well, this is a criminal enterprise. We need to change it entirely.
Like maybe these like wire fraud and things like that should be like the center of attention, not just, and besides, I wanted that job.
Yeah. The solution is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. and Mrs. America is, you know, be around like-minded people, have friends, have your own ways to protect yourself, and rely on the police for very little.
Yep. That's what I try to do. This opinion piece from the Wall Street Journal,
a reputable news source.
I believe that, what's his name? I'm looking at his face right now. RFK, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is honestly just like COINTELPRO. They said, people are getting smart about things like seed oils, things like vaccines, and we can't have this. We need to put someone on the inside that looks like a thought leader among those people when like he really just came out of nowhere, and install him and make them think that this is the solution. The solution isn't just, you know, like deregulate farming and agriculture and make it to where people can do regenerative farming the way that they should be allowed to do without any obstruction from the government, and allow people to make their own food, and also get rid of all the laws that force people to vaccinate their kids and let people do it the way they want to do, or do that the way they want to do that. No, the solution is follow this guy and he'll get Trump elected, and then he'll do ? That's really the solution, not to actually take responsibility for your own health.
Yeah, you can easily eliminate red dye 40 from your diet. You can do all these things that would make you healthy, but you don't need a government gang to do it for you. So why worry about RFK? Why worry about it all when you can just take control of your health?
Yep, I mean, that's a huge part about it, is that a lot of these people don't want to do any work. They just want I don't want to have to read any ingredients on the back of a box. I want RFK to get in there and force manufacturers to make everything healthy for me and not to have to do any work. But we do have a caller on the line. So before we get into this Make America Healthy Again article, let's go to the phones and your calls and thoughts. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Oh, I just want to say that we went to Santa Fe and got to see the Capitol. What's funny is that it was actually open all year round to the public. So
why is that funny?
Are they all? I think they all are, Sarah.
Really? I did not know that. Well, because we did committee meetings, so you could bring up issues so they become like a bill. That's probably why they open it all year round. I did not know that. And what's interesting is that I have never seen so many homeless people.
Does it surprise you, Sarah, when the state of New Mexico gives away so many freebies that you've even admitted that's why you live there, that there would be a bunch of people who just decide not to work and live off the state and just sit around on the ground outside?
Well, the Santa Fe was never like that until like about 5 years ago. It's almost looking like Albuquerque. So it was very, very wealthy. Santa Fe never had much places to feed. I just don't know what happened. So,
well, the Democrats have been in charge. You were out there asking people to vote for them and asking people to vote for basically more and more and more welfare, and things are just going to continue to get worse like that.
When government gives away free money, it's going to be stolen by somebody.
Anything else interesting for us, Sarah?
Well, I got to leave a message with the governor's office. They actually have secretary. So I left my network marketing company.
I was going to ask, what message did you leave for him? Do you think he's really going to hit you up for some vitamins?
No, but I was told to leave. I could leave emails to the web page. So we could email them. I don't know if they're gonna know who I am or whatever. Governor Grisham.
Probably not.
I used to see, but I used to remember when she was the county commissioner. I used to see her in the county commission meetings. So, but still, something's better than nothing. So that's about it. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Oh, man. Thanks for the call, Sarah. I was just about to ask her. I was waiting for her to finish her thought, and then I was going to tell her that, hey, we got a UFO story out of Richard when we talked to him last. Sarah, have you ever seen a UFO? I'll ask her next time.
Okay.
I have a feeling Sarah's not the type to pay attention. I'm just being honest.
She might pay attention to UFOs. It might be interesting enough for her to talk about.
No, I mean, I just don't know if she's the type to be walking around actually paying attention to what's going on around her, just, all absorbed in herself and thinking about going and selling her network marketing to the governor.
Well, I want to give her the benefit of the doubt, and maybe she'll surprise us with the UFO story.
I was going to ask her, but she hung up that time. I've never really had Sarah hang up. 603-283-6160. It's Free Talk Live. Call in with whatever's on your mind. More Free Talk Live coming up.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
You can help more people hear the message of liberty by joining Free Talk Live's AMPS program on Patreon for as little as $5 a month. And you'll get access to special perks. Visit amps.freetalklive.com, amps.freetalklive.com.
From Feature Story News in San Francisco, I'm Ira Spitzer with a look back at some of the week's top stories. U.S. President Donald Trump ordered his Attorney General Pam Bondi to release grand jury records about convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein. It followed a report from the Wall Street Journal about a letter Trump wrote to Epstein in 2003. FSN's Nick Harper reports from Washington.
The exclusive report from the Wall Street Journal centers around Jeffrey Epstein's 50th birthday back in 2003. A book was created made up of letters from Epstein's friends and associates, and included in that book is a letter reportedly written and signed by Donald Trump. The Journal describes it as bawdy. It includes a hand-drawn picture of a naked woman and the lines, "We have certain things in common, Jeffrey. Happy birthday, and may every day be another wonderful secret." Donald Trump has told the Journal the letter is a fake thing, adding, "I never wrote a picture in my life. I don't draw pictures of women." But he's now ordered the Attorney General Pam Bondi to produce grand jury testimony relating to Epstein's indictment in 2019 on child sex trafficking charges.
India successfully test-fired 2 domestically made ballistic missiles. The country has long relied on imported military hardware, mainly from Russia, which has been the subject of growing international attention since the invasion of Ukraine. FSN's Kshitij Nagar has more from New Delhi.
The short-range ballistic missiles named Agni-1 and Prithvi-2 were fired as part of a, quote, routine training exercise. India's Ministry of Defense says both the launches from a test facility were successful. The missiles are already part of the Indian military's arsenal and form what the government calls its, quote, minimum credible deterrence. Both missiles are said to be nuclear capable. India also tested an upgraded air defense system called the Akash, which has been purpose-built for operations in high-altitude areas. The test was conducted in the mountainous region of Ladakh. Military watchers say the test should be viewed as a continuation of India's efforts to indigenize its military in the face of growing scrutiny, as the country has traditionally been an importer of primarily Russian military hardware. Kshitij Nagar, New Delhi.
The European Union lowered the price cap on Russian oil and extended sanctions on the country's shadow fleet. The 18th round of sanctions on Moscow will now be adopted after Slovakia dropped its opposition to the measure. Donald Trump denied that he plans to fire the head of the U.S. Central Bank, Jerome Powell. The president has reportedly drafted a letter of termination for the Federal Reserve chairman, but is now walking back claims he's planning to let him go. From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
Don't miss a moment of Free Talk Live. Get our archives daily via our podcast at feeds.freetalklive.com.
Free Talk Live, talk radio that you control, and you can call 603-283-6160. That's 603-283-6160 to bring up whatever's on your mind. If you've been listening to the rest of the show, you know that callers have called in tonight about all kinds of different subjects that we weren't already talking about. You can bring up whatever's on your mind, really. And there's no specific topic you have to be on or anything like that. It's Free Talk Live for a reason.
Tell Bonnie a good UFO story.
Yeah, definitely. I would love for you to call in about a UFO story. 603-283-6160. With you on the show tonight, you've got me, Bonnie.
And Riley.
And right before Sarah called last segment, we were just about to get into this story, antitrust and the anti-vaxxers. The Justice Department boosts the theory, claiming that similar editorial judgments are collusive. Heard about the First Amendment? Oh, I see. I was like, that's a really horrible headline. I'm sorry. I think they're trying to say that if people put out the similar editorial thoughts, then it's like, hold on, that's just such a horrible, antitrust. So we're talking about not being able to. Dang, I already forgot the word. Let's just get into what they're saying. The Biden administration stretched antitrust laws for political ends, and now the Trump crowd is doing the same. So antitrust, what's the other way libertarians always put it? It's just like not coming to mind for me.
I can't think of it either, so maybe it'll come to mind for us.
The latest exhibit is the Justice Department's bizarre legal filing in a lawsuit by anti-vaccine activists against media companies. Children's Health Defense, the anti-vaccine outfit that Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. previously led, and like-minded plaintiffs claim the Washington Post, Reuters, Associated Press, and the BBC colluded with big tech companies to censor them. The platforms are unnamed alleged co-conspirators. How did this supposed conspiracy theory work? Plaintiffs say the media companies joined an industry partnership around 2020 and called the Trusted News Initiative, which shared misinformation on COVID vaccines, election, and other matters. I think maybe at the word I'm thinking of just like monopoly.
Yeah.
We have a caller on the line though, so let's see what is on their mind. Unscreened caller, you're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Hello.
Oh, we hear you, caller. What's on your mind?
Well, this is Richard from Albuquerque, and I want to talk about the cost cutting that President Trump is doing on PBS and the NPR channels.
What are they doing? What are they doing there with PBS?
Well, they want to cut a lot of NPR and PBS's funding. What this will do, it will eliminate the emergency alert system.
It actually will not do that.
Oh. Well,
what do you know about this, Riley? I haven't heard anything about this.
So, a lot of people will say that, if funding from PBS and NPR are cut, it's going to eliminate the National Weather Service system. It's not going to do that. Other stations will carry the alerts. Cell phones carry their alerts nowadays. There are NOAA weather radios you can buy. They'll carry these alerts. So to make that claim, I don't buy it. Yes, it might cut funding for these particular radio services like NPR and PBS and TV services. But, if you are still interested in getting their programming, you can donate to them. They do funding drives at least twice a year. And sometimes funding goes up, sometimes funding goes down. So you do the best you can. If you're interested in NPR programming, go fund them.
Well, I've been funding them for about 4 years now. Every month they take a automatic deduction out of my bank account. And so if things get defunded, I'll be one of them that increases the amount of money I donate to support them now, along with a few other things. But my main concern would be in New Mexico. We're a small populated state. We got a lot of rural areas, and apparently most of these rural areas, they don't have the signals or anything to get the alerts now, and this would really make it hard for people, especially on the native reservations, to get the alerts, and that's where a lot of problems are happening with New Mexico. We have what they call murdered and missing indigenous people. They're trying to cut down on crime, and the native people they have a lot higher murder rate.
Oh, wait. Did you say they're trying to cut down on the crime that they do? I heard that this whole organization is about them going missing more often, like them getting the actual indigenous people getting murdered more often, not doing more murders.
Yeah, there's a lot of Native people, for some reason, they get disappeared, and
okay.
not that many people seem to care about the Native people when they go missing to investigate the crimes and try to find these people. So that's what's going on with the Native people.
Yeah, I must have misunderstood you. We're on the same page. And that is, so is that another thing you give money to?
Yes, I donate I got quite a few organizations I donate money to quite often. I donate to St. Jude's Hospital quite often.
If you didn't have to pay taxes, would you maybe give even more in charity, Richard?
Well, I donate what money I can with what expenses I have. I'm paying a mortgage on a $330,000 house, and that's about $2,400 a month.
Probably property taxes too.
Yep.
Yeah, property taxes on that run close to $2,800 a year.
That's so awful.
Yeah,
thank you for the call, Richard, and it is laudable whenever somebody likes to give or like is happy to give.
Yeah, I think
charities they
it's
believe
like
in.
I think it's laudable that people are out there who love NPR programming and want to continue funding it to keep it going. I think it's awesome. And if you want to fund PBS to keep it going, that's awesome. But demanding that it just be funded by a government, I don't know. Then you allow that funding to be taken away at the stroke of a pen from some government bureaucrat who doesn't like you.
And not just that, but it's like he said he would pay more if it got defunded. It's like, why can't all the other listeners just agree to do that? Thank you for the call, Richard. And we have another caller on the line, so I'm just gonna go directly to the other caller. You're on Free Talk Live. What's on your mind?
Your chat, but that's why you buy a couple acres of land for your $2,800 of 1 year taxes instead, and then just with the cash and your own labor, build yourself a home on a couple acres that you paid off for one payment of $2,800.
Nice. I guess that's the way some people like to choose to live, but not everyone.
Yeah. That's how everyone lived prior to modern banking.
I know.
That's how all you Mormons did it.
Yep, that's how we did it.
I like how you're just Mormon for life. Like sometimes I catch myself saying like Riley because he's a Mormon, as if it's like your race or something.
Well, it's definitely not my race, but it is my culture. It's who it's where I come from. So I do still have that identity. It's in my blood.
So. I don't know if you still go by David.
I go by David Jr., David Jr.
Okay. What did you mean you want to talk about my chat, our chat?
Oh, yeah, the a-holes on your chat, like this guy, Derek Gatz, DEREKGATZ, double X, XX, Derek Gatz, XX. What an a-hole.
I don't know that one, honestly. I feel like they changed their names a lot, so maybe I've like interacted with this person before, but under a different name. Which chat? Is it YouTube?
Yeah, I don't look at the other one. The YouTube one, yeah. I've seen this name just recently, so he may have changed it from something else. I don't know. But I heard you talk about how people are nasty to you on the other chat, which I haven't seen. But they have, ever since I've been calling radio to try to get a message. I mean, people call radio, talk radio, not just your program, but they call yours as well, talking about problems like cops that beat them up or wrongfully arrested them, or things like the government trafficked your children, which happened to me. But for some reason, people hate the F out of me for talking about the government trafficking my children. Like this Derek Gatz dude, like 3 weeks ago, he was saying really nasty stuff about the fact that he was basically saying that I deserved it or whatever for whatever reason. But just S like that constantly I've dealt with for the 15 years that I tried to get a message out. People seem to sometimes pay lip service to it, but the most of people do is they're like, "Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That's terrible." But nobody ever helps you with anything. And yes, I have turned that around and asked myself, so what have I helped other people who call in with whatever problem? What have I done to help them? Yes, I've asked myself that. But that part wouldn't be so bad. But when they, on top of it, when they treat you like effing S, like this Derek Gatz XX dude, and a million others. It's not just him, but he's the most recent example that I saw. Oh, that leads to something. I've never looked at your other chat on your whatever you call it, the server you got to do special stuff to get into. That I've never done, or I tried one time.
It's the Matrix chat.
Yeah.
So what kind of nasty stuff do they say about people on that chat? And have you ever noticed them talking S about me and my kids?
You specifically, I was gonna say, don't come up in that chat, to be honest. But I could see that being more like the YouTube crowd. I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think that a lot of the YouTube crowd are more of just like actual like listeners. They're just like low IQ dummies, and I think that the other one is feds, and then like some listeners, but they're all hateful. Like, it's not like people who are fans of Free Talk Live really go in these chats, because those freaks go and crap it up, Right?
Yeah. That seems to be kind of, actually, if you want to talk psychology for a second, for some reason it seems that like that's a universal thing in online chat. Is people are just king a-holes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's anonymity.
Yeah, and anonymity can contribute to people being absolute horrible human beings, because they don't have to feel like they're accountable.
I'd like to anonymize all over their effing faces. I'd like to see them. Yeah, I'd like to see them face to face once. I don't care who they are, man. They would not walk away from the encounter.
Yeah, I think the thing about it is you shouldn't let them make you feel that way. Like, honestly, I used to talk to them a lot more, and they're just like completely irredeemably crappy. And it's so funny to me, because Aria used to say the same things. She used to say they're just irredeemably crappy and hateful people, and there's like nothing, like no reason to pay attention to them. And now she has her own little chat where she talks crap about me to them. So whatever.
Right. And Chris 777, we're not talking about you. I actually was going to say that.
Oh, he's nice to me too.
This does not include you, Chris 777. We're not talking about you. It's the other a-holes like Derek Gatz XX. That's who we're talking about, Chris.
That's pretty funny. That one is really nice to me too, and he's said things before that he's like a Bonnie fan, so that's sweet and everything, but also it's hard to like watch the chat while you're on the show, so I don't know if I have much more to say about this, because I haven't really seen the YouTube chat in a while. Sometimes, like, I don't want to say who. Somebody I know will be like, wow, look at this horrible thing they're saying, and send it to me, and I'm just like, I don't look at it. You don't have to, like, my feelings not hurt. You don't have to.
Yeah, it's just a internet chat room, and chat room's gonna chat room and be full of mean people.
Right. It wouldn't be such a big deal if somebody was just effing with me. But when they involve my children and what was done to, wasn't just done to me, dude. It was done to children that were 2 and 3 years old. You MRFer.
That's a really good point.
So Jesus Christ. Anyway, so yeah, we can move on from that. But that the Capitol that Sarah spent the day in, yep. I've spent. I counted them, 270 days in that building. And I'm not talking about an 8-hour workday. I'm talking about 10, 12, 14-hour workdays.
Wow.
And I didn't get paid. I was doing it as whatever, your citizen activist, whatever.
It's open 20 or 365.
Sarah's going to call. Breaking news! Albuquerque, I-40 west of Albuquerque reopened after deadly crash. Go ahead.
It's open 365, like we were saying. We assume they all are.
Yeah. It's a government building. It's so Monday through Friday, and then it's by the nature of the building. Yeah, it probably is open on the weekends as well.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of funny that she was so impressed by that. It's like, I think they're all kind of like that.
Yeah. Well, if you've never been there, I suppose it's notable. So I'm not going to pick on her for being excited about going there, but my point is that she's been there. She went there one day, and so, I mean, what do I think of right away? I think of the 270 days I spent there doing activist work, to the point where, I don't know if I told you this, the year I went 6 years straight, and the seventh year I didn't go, but I still attended so I guess I should count it as 7 years instead of 6. I attended all day long in committees, but nobody knew I was there because I was attending it virtually online with the live video.
Mm-hmm.
And I caught one of the senators that was kind of a jerk. He was making comments to the other senators in a committee meeting, when they're doing their meeting, making snide comments about David, that about David not being there this year. It was making him happy, something like that. And I actually caught him. Saying that.
Did you get to record it?
Yeah. Actually, I record. I mean, it's no big deal, but it was just funny. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you made some sort of an impact when one of the top tier senators in a committee room mentions you, and they don't have to say. They didn't even say a last name. Everybody knows who you're talking about. Just with you go in the Capitol, say the name David, and they know who you're talking about.
That's pretty funny.
It sounds like you made an impression there.
Did you go there mostly talk about like parental rights type of things?
No, what I did is, because people don't always want to hear it about for some reason people are not keen on hearing about problems that other people have with domestic relations, family, court, whatever stuff. So my strategy was instead, what I did is, when they would do their discussion, because you get to speak when they're testifying, if you want to testify on a bill. So what I would do is, when a bill came up that I saw, things that were either good or bad about it, I would attack in that manner. So in that way, every topic was my topic. And my point is that you MRFers did this to me. It was wrong and it was illegal. And here's how I'm going to get you back. You're going to effing listen to me on all of these topics, on every single topic, and you can't stop me because I have a right to testify. And so I just made them listen to my point of view on every effing thing that came up that I had a point of view on, especially if it was contrary to anything that they were doing.
Yeah. It just makes me feel bad because it feels like there's just no really, really good way to get justice in the situation. I still think a lot more needs to be done. It's really awful. Children legitimately are trafficked.
What needs to, on that subject, yes, and every other subject. And it actually ties into, I was going to say this earlier, and now let me say it now because it applies to this. The bullies in the chat line, I mean, you can just, best thing, just don't even look at it.
Yeah.
Let it, so it doesn't affect you. But before the internet, most of those bullies wouldn't say that kind of stuff because they would what? Get the S beat out of them. Okay. But there were a few that would still run their mouth and they would get the S beat out of them. And that's what needs to happen, not to these online bullies. They shouldn't think that they're safe just because they're saying it online and not to your face. They should get the S beat out of them. And that same thing applies everywhere else in life. The reason that you suffer at the hand of your government and anybody else you suffer at is because those people don't get those people don't get tarred and feathered.
Yep. That is a great way to turn it back to the government as well.
Yeah.
But
duels
by the way, you can die from being tarred and feathered.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because it was a serious deal. Because what would happen is they would put hot tar on you, not just sticky cold tar. They would heat tar up, and it would burn you as they put it on you. And some people died from those burns.
Really? I wonder if it was done differently in different places, because this has been a conversation that, like, back when Ian was out of jail, and we'd talk about it on the show a couple times, and it, like, some people would say that they did research and found out, oh, it's not even, like, hot tar, it just was to embarrass them. It would be like something sticky and then some feathers and like, haha, you look like a chicken. So I don't know. I mean, I believe you. I'm sure it happened maybe both ways.
I don't think they had they didn't have the chemical technology back then that we had. I mean, I guess they could make a room temperature pliable tar product by diluting it with oil that would come out of the ground, like in Pennsylvania when they would drill for water and oil would come out, and it was annoying to them because the internal combustion engine didn't exist yet. You could make your tar from whatever you made it from, that oil product, tar pit, whatever, and then you could dilute it with liquid oil so that you could apply it and it would be sticky without having to heat it. However, I remember reading historical accounts. I don't read fiction, fiction. I can't stand it. I only read memoirs, biographies, autobiographies, and I remember learning about the process and that people died from having hot tar applied to them.
Well, it makes the point even more then, because it's like, not only should bullies be able to have the natural consequences, like the cause-effects consequences of the way they act. There is such thing as fighting words, like even in a libertarian viewpoint. They should also, the politicians should also have the consequences for actually doing what they do, which are usually a lot worse than just bullying, like trafficking people's children and things like that. And I love that Free Talk Live is a place for people to try to get maybe like connections with others to be able to try to form community when they're having problems that they don't see a solution to, or even vent. More Free Talk Live tomorrow. freetalklive.com for more. Thanks for listening. Peace.
Join liberty-minded voluntarists, anarchists, and libertarians from June 13th through the 16th for the 8th annual Fork Fest at